Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Get Off the Damn Fence. That's right, we're back here each and every Tuesday night. We come together with Calvin Thomas, Justin B.A. the Barber Harris. What's going on, fellas? How y'all feeling tonight?
What's going on with you? What's going on
It's
with you?
going great. It's going great.
Fellas?
Another week is in the books. The NFL season continues to excite and never disappoints. So we will definitely get into some NBA talk in a few moments here. But we have to start this week's show off. First of all, if you're on Share the Live, let's get the word out. Tell your friends that we are live here on Facebook, on YouTube. Get the word out there. Let everybody know. Tune in because we're going to be talking about some hot topics tonight. So we're going to start off with what is happening here in Baltimore today. The Baltimore Orioles, man, oh man, oh man. I picked an interesting year to return as an Orioles fan, and I put that word in air quotes because the Baltimore Ravens, they give me frustrations all the time. But these Orioles, man, are they allergic to winning? Like, what is it? Like, somebody need to explain this a little bit better. Maybe for the guy, the yeoman like me, the man who has stepped away from the game for a little while, come back. Like, do they not like winning? 1-0 at home again? Like, is this deja vu? What is going on? The Orioles go down to the Kansas City Royals, 1-0. Your pitcher give up one run. Your pitching gives up one run at home, and you can't get across the plate one time. I get it. The Royals must have had an ace pitcher out there who was dealing. But for the Orioles, the strength of that team to have been their backs for the majority of the year, this is very disappointing to the fans who showed out in full today at Camden Yards, 4 o'clock start. Calvin, I'll start with you. What was your thoughts on the Orioles' performance against the Royals in the wild card game today?
The Orioles don't play small ball. They haven't played small ball yet. They're addicted
to the people at home that might not know what you mean. This ain't like basketball when somebody say small ball. They might not understand that baseball reference.
They don't know how to manufacture runs. They can't get a walk, have somebody steal second, get a pop fly, advance in the third, and get a sacrifice fly or bunt and get them home. They can't create those runs. They create runs by hitting home runs, hitting doubles, things like that. They don't want to they don't play small ball. They're young guys that I think they're addicted to the long ball. One thing I don't agree with, and just there's two things I don't agree with. One with this game, one in general, and I'll let you get your thoughts, Justin. One, I understand how he likes to go with his best defensive players. That's why he has Westberg and Urias playing instead of Holiday. He had Kjerstad in the lineup, but you got to go with the young guys. I need to go with the hot bats. I need to go with the guys that aren't afraid to be there. We saw last year they got swept in the playoffs. So let's go with the new blood. I know what Westberg. I know he's back. He's a better defensive player. I know Urias had a key hit that led to them getting him in third base, I believe, in the 6th inning. But I want Holiday in there. I want Kjerstad. I want Collins. I want the young guys to get a shot. This is the future. I need these guys to show they're not afraid of the moment. I've seen what Urias can do. I've seen what McCann can do. I've seen that already. I need to see these young guys get a shot as well. And two, I don't understand why Suarez wasn't on the playoff lineup. You put Povich on there versus Suarez. Is it because he's a left-handed pitcher? Because Suarez has been one of your best pitchers down the stretch, getting spot starts. He's better in the bullpen as you have Kramer back healthy. If you had Grayson, it'd been even better. But I don't agree with leaving him off the roster as well. He can pitch for you in the stretch in the long innings. I'm not sure what I give him Povich, and he's been up and down all year long. And he had a great September or a good September, but he's been up and down all year long. Why am I expecting big things from him if I need him in the crutch to start a game 3, a game 4 elimination game? I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with some of Hyde's decisions. I'm not saying it's time for him to go. You rarely see managers build up a team and also win with that team. Usually they build it up and they pass off someone else. But I don't agree with some of his decisions and just some of his lineups. And if they get swept again this year, and if they don't score any runs, you got to start thinking about some changes need to be made. If you get a quality start from your ace at home and you squander it.
So when you brought up small ball, right? That's what I wanted you to explain it. So when I go in a little bit, it's is definitely easy to understand. There was a play early in the third inning when Cedric Mullins got a double, and it was no outs. McCann was up next, and he's not the best. What you say? Say that one more time.
Bunt the ball.
You bunt the ball to advance the run in the third with no outs. Even if McCanns don't make it to first, you got at least a couple more outs to try to get the advance and running home. That's playoff basketball. Baseball. That's what you need to do. And they just don't. It's times like that they don't do it. Is it a hard thing? Yes. Your manager's supposed to come in situations like, hey, yo, lay down that bunt, and you just keep it moving. In situations like that, I'm not too mad on the pitching today. I mean, they allowed Corbin allowed one run, so that was great. I mean, they played great. Although it was one thing, maybe you who hit the ball who hit the big shot for the Royals?
Who scored the run? Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt. Now, he's one of the best baseball players in the league. In that situation, you walk him. Why? Because the person that was after him, he hasn't been playing for the last couple weeks. He's not like one of the better baseball players. You take your chances with him. Somebody that's hitting like 250 on below. You take your chances with him. So if he blows the game up and hits a home run or something like that, you tip your hat off. Hey man, you awesome. You don't give up or you don't pitch to someone that's MVP candidate. He's probably if Aaron Judge is not known, if he's not playing, then it might go to him. So that's how talented that player is. So you gotta avoid him when this is playoffs. You don't have that much room for error. So that is another thing, and that's once again that is a managerial thing. That is a high question that he needs to answer. So the question that you proposed earlier, Larry, was just what's going on. Honestly, all eyes are starting to look right towards the manager, and he's just not it. Maybe we need another big game manager here, someone that been into some serious situations, because we have a team for it, and we just underperforming.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Sometimes you can only take a team to a certain level till you experience does kick in, and if you've never been there before, you know, just like players choke, coaches can choke, and it'll be very interesting to see. But it's unfortunate when you squander ace going out there and only giving up one run at home. You gotta win that game. I'm sorry. So previewing of tomorrow's game, the pitcher matchup. How does the pitcher fare? Give me a little history on these two particular pitchers that we're going to be seeing on tomorrow. Do you see the pitching being as good? Of course, the ace is always going to be your best outing, but do you think the Orioles will be able to take advantage of the Royals' second starter? Calvin, I'll start with you.
So I believe the O's have Eflin going, who they traded for. I think he came from, I want to say he came from Tampa, I believe. Against they have Seth Lugo for them. So I think they should be able to get more, hopefully get more hits off Lugo, which generates some more runs. Eflin started to come around late in the second half of the season, post trade deadline. Hopefully you can get 5 or 6 innings out of him, and then turn it over to your bullpen. It's a short series, but now you got to win. You got to win 2 in a row. You got to win 2 in a row. It's best of 3. So, and you played. You played Thursday in Kansas City, so you turn it right around playing 3 in a row. So it's best. You got to win this. Hopefully you get some innings out of Eflin. I'd like to see the lineup change. Either Mullins at the top or the bottom of the lineup, try to get him extra at bat. Gunnar has been great at the top of the lineup, but when you hit solo home runs, it really doesn't do much. You just get 1 run. I really want him to see.
Could have used it today.
Yeah, I want to see him clean up or batting in front of Santander. 2 or 3 down. The problem is the catching is so inconsistent. And I'm drawing Rutschman has been terrible with the bat second half, and but you gotta put him in the lineup because he's your second best player, obviously. So hopefully they can get a couple more runs in off of Lugo. But if Eflin can turn a good performance, then I like their chances going into Thursday.
So we are playing against a right-handed pitcher, so that should do a little bit better for our bats. So I mean, shit, we definitely got to score more than 0. So I can't say I expect that. So yes, that's the obvious. But no, I expect more of a 5-6 type of runs being scored, runs being generated. And yes, I mean, to your, it's not to your point, Calvin. It's just, you made a point where as though Adley is our second best player. Is he? You know what I'm saying? That's where we at right now. That's where we at
in
right
May
now.
and June, but that was 4 months ago. And I take that back. They played 3 in Baltimore, so you're home. The whole series is home. I take that back. So
yeah, we'll see. All right, so very interesting. Let's talk about the rest of the major leagues right now. And what else do you see? We haven't done any playoff predictions because everything kind of just got locked in on Monday night when the Mets were able to pull out a victory. And the Braves were able to also clinch. That was very weird how both teams were celebrating at the end of the game because both of them make the playoffs. And yeah, that's crazy. But just an overall thought process on what do you all see happen. We know about the Royals and the Orioles, and that winner will play the Yankees. But let's take a look around the rest of baseball. I know Houston and Detroit going up head to head. You got Philly waiting for the winner of Milwaukee and the Mets, and then the Padres and Atlanta facing off to see who will play the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, the usual suspects are here. To me, these are the teams you probably would look for other than maybe, I would say, a Boston or something like that. So, Justin, we'll start with you. What are your predictions for the American League? Who's coming out? And let's be very impartial here. You're Orioles fan first, but just how you thinking things will shake out in the American League?
Well, coming out of the American League, I do expect the Baltimore to make it out. And let's just be honest, I do expect us to beat the Yankees because we actually played pretty tough throughout the regular season. If not, I think we definitely got them by a couple of games when it comes to the season series. So I'm not necessarily afraid of the big bag Yankees. So we're just going to keep moving past them. Cleveland is a hot team, and I think Detroit is even hotter. They was absolutely garbage to start the season.
They way back.
Definitely came back. So you always got to be worried about a team that's on a surge, similar to the Texas Rangers last year. They definitely was on a surge late, and that took them all the way to the championship. So I'm interested in seeing how that pans out. But I definitely see. We have the talent to go all the way. So I'm not even trying to be a homer or anything like that. But we definitely have the talent to go as far as we need to go.
Calvin, your thoughts on the American League?
If the Orioles get past Kansas City, I think they beat the Yankees. Yankees were, I want to say they were like 500 in the AL East, and the Orioles were 6 games over. So if they play the Yankees, I have faith that they could win the ALDS. The south part of the bracket is interesting because Skubal in Detroit, who's probably going to win Cy Young, if you got to face him 3 times in a series, then you're probably not beating him. He's been
we could have got him too. That's the sad part about it.
I mean, the price is too high in my opinion. But if you got to face him 3 times in a 7-game series, I don't like your chances because he's going to win those 3 games. I think you can get one more victory from someone else on your team. So I do like Detroit and Cleveland in that matchup. I don't know how Skubal's been great all year, but I mean, if you can get one in your Cleveland, then I think they can make it to the ALCS. So I think the winner of the Orioles Kansas City series beats the Yankees, and I got Cleveland and Detroit in the other part of the bracket. And I got
the Yankees will beat the Royals if they get past.
I guess if they can set their lineup, if Kansas City can set their pitching rotation, I mean, I'm not scared of anyone besides Judge and Soto in New York, and I feel like you could pitch around them for 9 innings to win the game. Let them win 1 game. Okay. Who else in that lineup scares you? Nobody. So if I got to put them on base and make somebody else beat me, I like my chances.
Understood.
Interesting. All right, Calvin, what's your thoughts on the National League?
I think the Dodgers I like the Dodgers, but I figure there's some type of way they're going to mess us up. In the last 4 or 5 years, they've had the best record. I think in the AL 3 times. They made 1 World Series, and that was in 2020 during shortened season. So I'm going with the Dodgers. Shohei, he's the best player in the world. I think that can only take you but so far, especially with him not pitching. If they can get their pitching together, I like the Dodgers. Even the only thing that scares me is them playing San Diego because there's so much familiarity there, and I think San Diego has a better lineup in total, but I'm going with the Dodgers.
Justin, your thoughts on the National League?
I like the Mets making a push.
Shocker.
That's not even a New York thing.
Yeah, huh?
They got the same color as the Knicks.
Yeah. No
You
doubt.
sound like Jets. Go ahead.
But see, would it be the New Jersey Nets? See, that's why it's a difference. But with that being said, no, they just I just like what they got going on, and they definitely are winning. I think they won tonight. So I definitely got the Mets. The Phillies are tough, and the Dodgers definitely have the names that you will want to know. But like I said, I like the hot teams, man. And in this particular situation, I think the Mets are surging at the right time. I think they're going to be the team to go far into the playoffs, unlike the Detroit on the other side.
Okay, who you got winning the World Series?
Make sure if we get there, it's going to be like I can't.
Yeah,
can't go ahead. Yeah, it stops here. No, we might as well take it off.
Go all the way. All right, Calvin.
I want to say the same thing, but I got the Dodgers. I think they finish it for the first time in 5 years.
You're an LA guy, but makes sense. Let's keep it in the baseball world because on yesterday we got the news that legendary player, Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose passed away. Pete Rose is, a legendary figure for not just playing the game. We know on the field he was one of the greatest hitters of all time. He broke the record for hits. The man was what people's favorite player growing up. Everybody always bragged about Pete Rose and how great he was. But then the controversy after his career, 1989, he was discovered that he was actually gambling on games, even on his very team while he played. So, he was kind of banned from baseball. Not kind of.
It was while he managed, right? Not while he played, right?
Yeah,
while he managed.
Why he managed.
Yeah, okay.
Why he managed. But they went back to even his days. And was he always under the table? And was always the speculation, was he in with the mob? A lot of things came from Pete Rose later in life. And they held that against him so much so that it undercut his play on the field so much that he has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame now. In the course of my lifetime, of course, you and I, all of us we weren't alive when Pete Rose was playing at his height and everything like that. But just the stories of Pete Rose have always come back to the same thing about him gambling on baseball. You know what I mean? It's always come back to that same story. And I remember there was a big push. I remember Bob Costas, and there were some writers who really made a big push to get Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. And his actually has a little section about Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, but he's not in. He never was voted in by the writers. So I just think, you know how I am about gambling. I really do have a thought process on that. And if he gambled on the games when he was a manager, hold that against him, put an asterisk on his name. But if he played the game as hard as he did and did everything, he gave it everything he got, I think the man belongs in the Hall of Fame. You can't tell the story. And they always just say, what's your litmus test for the Hall of Fame? Can you tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose? Of course you can. I mean, he was a major part of many people's fondest memories of the game. And I think it's still, he passed away without getting that opportunity. So at this point, will the cry for him to get in the Hall of Fame get louder? Probably. So it'll be very interesting. Yeah, Justin, your thoughts on Pete Rose overall WWE Hall of Famer?
All right, okay, he definitely is. Shout out to Kane, but so the thing with Pete Rose is he admitted to
later
cheating on.
He denied it for years.
But he admitted to it because they said you admit to it, we will put you in, and then they backed.
No. He could have just came out and said it too. He could have had ample opportunity. He
admitted it in 2003.
Value for it, and that's what's like, dang, yo, you going to gamble on a game, and then you can't even come out and admit to it. You had to do it in your book. Like what is that? Of course it's sold. So that's a problem. And I have a problem with that. Like, actions speak way louder than the words. So if you're going to do something and you kind of backhandedly set it within your book just to make some money, then that's a problem. So you technically still didn't learn your lesson. So that's what I have an issue with. And then I have an issue with baseball, like inviting him to certain things. And he'll come and wave his hand or whatever the case may be, and then okay, you can't come back tomorrow. What you invite me here for? So they was going back and forth, and that's problematic. So if you're gonna make it stand and just do away with them.
Well, the problem is it wasn't baseball that didn't vote him in. It's the writers. The writers have sole control over that. So
no. It is baseball. It is baseball because he was banned. He was banned.
Correct. But the writers could still put him in.
You could
put him in, but if I'm gonna ban you, the writers say, "Well, we're not gonna put you in until that ban get lifted."
Now the whole writers thing is BS too. The writers thing is BS too. That's another topic.
That's
true.
I think
he was banned from coaching again. I think he deserved to be banned. From coaching. I mean, you can't fix.
So if you were a writer, how do you feel like? Well, if he banned it, he must have cheated the game.
I agree. But you should be able to separate what happened on the field opposed to his. I think.
And that's the gray area. That's the gray area. So
go ahead, Calvin.
Real quick though, I think he gets in post.
I agree.
But not right now.
I agree. I think he gets in now. I think they didn't want to celebrate him, and that's why they didn't do it while he was alive. I don't agree with him not being in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, you can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, without the all-time hits leader, without someone that had a 40-game hit streak that threatened. I keep on saying not Ty Cobb, the Boston Red Sox. I can't think of his name right now. Ted Williams. But you can't tell the story of baseball without him. And I don't like how you're expanding, you're growing the game with him. Like they had that best player, best 4 players, the best 5 players of each team, and they had him come there as part of that ceremony. But then all of a sudden you can't come to the next game. And then like his son comes up, gets called to the major leagues, and they make him buy a ticket. Like that's just stuff that's just petty. And I'm not saying he didn't do. I mean, what he did was right, and it was wrong. But you can't tell the story of baseball without him. If you want to put him in a wing and explain what he did, that's fine. But he deserves being Hall of Fame.
Steroid guys. I mean,
same thing. Steroid guys, the amphetamines guys, the guys with the tar on their bat. Same thing. That's all part of the game.
Only one who did it.
And they got the game to this point. And he deserves being Hall of Fame. And they'll put him in now just because he can't be celebrated. But I think baseball did him wrong for a couple decades, and
The problem with Pete was he turned into a caricature because he was trying to make money. Because he had to. You know what I mean? Like he lost all the big endorsement opportunities. He lost all it. So
because they had like
into a caricature.
Didn't he do like he had like an autograph session, like Hall of Fame weekend or something like that?
And he had kind of added to it. He had to hawk his autographs, and they was like, "Oh, look at him. He should be above that." Like, no, baseball players ain't make that type of money back in his day. So it's not like he even got to reap some of those benefits of being in the Hall of Fame, because normally Hall of Famers, they make so much money from appearances and doing different things that the major leagues sets up for them but he wasn't a privy to any of those type of benefits. So he had to go out there and hustle like he committed like an ultimate crime, which I get it. I'm not absolving betting on the game that you have a direct impact on. If he was a player and was shaving points and intentionally dropping balls, that's different. I don't know. It's just different to me. Justin, you had some final word.
I just think that if he would have just came out early, shout out to Vince, man. Just get on top of it early, man. That's what he told Hogan.
We'll talk about that later. All right, so let's get into this, because we also had another death in the world of sports. Man, there's been a lot of deaths period this week. Golly, rest in peace, John Amos. That came out of nowhere. Apparently, he died back in August, but word just came out. But in the world of the NBA, we lost a legend, man, a legend of the game. One of the greatest defensive players of all time has passed away. That's right. If you haven't heard, Dikembe Mutombo, one of the best defensive players And a great humanitarian. Dikembe Mutombo really did a lot for his country, was an advocate. Unfortunately, he's been suffering from brain cancer the last few years, and he succumbed to that illness. So 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was an All-NBA defensive team multiple times over. He made it to the finals that one year when he was with the Philadelphia 76ers. He won Defensive Player of the Year that year, teaming with Allen Iverson. And they had an opportunity under Larry Brown to win that title, but the Lakers were in their way. But just not on the court. Dikembe Mutombo was one of the greats, humanitarians, like I said. Went to Georgetown. Was great at Georgetown. We know some of those classic teams, Coach Thompson, and, just a great player all around. Justin, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on the great Dikembe Mutombo?
I like to actually give all props and praises to Rudy Gobert. I say that because it's players like him that's getting all these awards and things like that made me think, like, dang, like I know real defensive players. Like I've seen them, and they used to exist. This guy ain't it. Hence, one of those guys was Mutombo, right? and when I say Mutombo, like, he was legitly like. You had to alter your shot. You some players wasn't afraid, but majority of players, definitely was hesitant. He was a true big, through and through defensive minded, and then he added a little 12-foot jump shot to go with it. So he was just great at what he did. I wish I had more players like that today, and there's not too many of them. There's pretty much none, to be honest. So, with everything he did, shout out to him when he was with the Denver Nuggets. They took out the Seattle Supersonics. I think it was an 8 seed, beating a number 1 seed. So, he was a catalyst for that. So it's just, it's sad. It's sad the fact that he had it for a little bit and he finally succumbed to it. But that's life. Life treats us just however it feels like it, and we just got to roll with it. So he definitely will be missed, and I don't want to go on too long, but shout out to Mutombo, man.
Yes, sir. Calvin.
Yeah, I think all the stories that come out, he was even an even better person. But like you said, all the accolades, and it was kind of one of the things that was just a shock because he was so young, and how as you get older, you just think people, within a couple of years, within a couple of decades of you, still fairly young, and he just seemed fairly young. And you saw him a couple years, I guess it was the season post-COVID, kind of doing some things with the NBA and just kind of staying out there and just and I know he had his trucking business, things like that, but just sad to see him go ambassador of the game, one of the great Georgetown centers. It's just one of those things, like it was I don't say it was unexpected, and it's just not how you wanted to start your week, I think. So so RIP to him.
Yeah, man.
Prayers to his family.
Tough. Yeah, he was one of those players because he had the finesse too. I mean, not the finesse, the charisma. You know what I mean?
But with the finger wag,
block the shot and then wave the finger. So you knew who he was. Growing up.
Gave us one of the moments with Jordan when Jordan shot the free throws with his eyes closed. That was because of Mutombo. So.
Remember, he was at the dunk contest. I think the one that Vince did, and he gave you that big reaction. He did the eyes up. And Shaq had the camcorder. Yeah. So that's one of
the rare Congolese people to actually maintain and shape up his whole career.
Yeah.
Shout out because it was sharp. It was sharp for a mighty long time.
He did his job. I think Atlanta did that for him because he was down in Atlanta for a while and he had a good barber. He took him to Philly with him. They got rid of he didn't, McKee didn't know that barber though. So yeah. Let's move on. The biggest news from the NBA this past week came in the middle of the night because I was up and I said, the hell is this? A trade? Or who? So Justin, I gotta get your thoughts. I know you've been chomping at the bit for a few days to give your thoughts on this one. How do you feel about Cat going to the Knicks, man, and Julius Randle leaving town, and DiVincenzo? Wow.
So I didn't know. boo loving with the wife, and I went to sleep. Calvin hit me up, like, no, I guess throughout the night, some kind of way via text. And I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. I say, "What are you talking about?" Whatever time I hit him back, and everything started to get confirmed. And it actually got confirmed like an hour ago, like the full final trade and everything like that. So it's definitely official and all those things. So, so I can actually, let me go through this real quick. It's two sides. There's two sides to this. One, you got the Julius Randle side, and you got the Dante side. Julius Randle. Shout out to Julius for the fact that he actually helped transform the Knicks to actually being a respectable team. He was the catalyst of that. He was the engine behind that until JB came and took that from him. So the problem with Julius is, besides the fact that he's inconsistent and all those things, we get all that. But one, picking fights with the media and the fans, that's not good, right? Two, his inconsistent playoff play, trash, like really, really bad. So that gave pause when it came to him trying to get an extension. He wants his money. Like, yo, all right, it's my time. Go ahead on and extend me. I want to be here and all that. And the front office said, no, we gonna have to ride this thing out a little bit longer. And that when you can tell, because he could have got this done over early in the summer, so on and so forth. That's when you can see the writing was on the wall. He started to do cryptic social media texts and things like that. It was I knew it was coming. I just didn't know who. But I did expect it was Cat some kind of way because of his relationship with Leon Rose. He has a very, very strong relationship with Leon Rose. Leon Rose was one of the main components of him getting drafted number one. Not saying he was the reason, but I'm just saying, like, he was like, yo, this dude is him. He was one of the main components for that. So Julius will be missed slightly. I really don't care about Julius. Shout out to Cat. Dante was actually the one I was like, oh man. I actually felt some kind of way because when it came to being a Knick, he provided that energy, the toughness, all that, the grit, all those things. Like, he'll miss a shot in the clutch, they'll get a rebound, Josh Hart get a rebound, pass it right back, and he'll make it. That's the type of player he is. So Minnesota is getting a fine player in basketball wise when it comes to Dante DiVincenzo. So he's going to be missed. But the problem was he was going to battle for time. You don't have a season like that and still have to battle for your minutes, even coming off the bench, even if you want to come off the bench, right? So he was going to have to fight a little bit for that. So some nights he might have 20 minutes, some nights he might have 15, 10, so on and so forth. And he's too good of a player for that. So he goes over to Minnesota. He'll probably be finishing the games right alongside Anthony Edwards to have a bona fide 3-point shooter because Mike Conley can't keep up with nobody in today's NBA. So, how do I feel about Cat to wrap this up? I know I'm not trying to be too long-winded.
No, go ahead.
Cat puts us in a position where as though we are a bona fide offensive threat every single play going down on the other side of the court. With his ability to spread the court, this is one of the rare bigs that can actually put up 50, 40, 90. So that's a tremendous stat. Those that don't know, 50% field goal shooting, 40% from the three, and 90% from the free throw line. 50, 40, 90. It's a club of them guys. And if you push aside KD, he's arguably the best shooting big in the league today. So when you have him, I say arguably, arguably, but you ain't gonna go too far down before you get the Cat. He does have a catch and shoot of over 40%. 5 out the 9 years he played, and 1 year it was 39%. So he's a very good catch and shoot guy to go along with Mikal, who shoots over 40%, which go along with OG, who shoots over 40%. And God, I hope that Josh Hart worked on his 3-pointers over the offseason, because on his show with JB, the brother show they had Tom Thibodeau, and Tom Thibodeau said on his podcast, I hope you was working on your 3-point shooting this offseason. So
I hope a lot.
With all that being said, I like what we're doing. Leon said he was gonna make a splash some kind of way. He made that splash. We have definitely a good team. We picked up another backup center from Charlotte because that's what helped finish the trade out. So I know people were saying, well, y'all ain't got no depth. We picked up a backup. Shout out to Mitchell Robinson. I don't want to trade Mitchell Robinson because he's a defensive center through and through, and we might need him for the MBs of the world if we play them. But we are matching Boston, we are matching Philly, and we are matching Milwaukee to maintain our top four spot in the East. And that's all. That's what we wanted. We wanted to be competitive.
So I'm going to have a follow-up for you in a second. But Calvin, what was your thoughts on the trade?
I got a follow-up for you too. But my thoughts, I thought this made more sense for Minnesota than did for New York. I think what Minnesota can do by unlocking Naz Reid as well, who's going to get more time now with no Cat. And then you can kind of put him in the closing lineup with Julius Randle and Conley. I think it's Jaden McDaniels. I forgot his first name. McDaniels. So you can kind of do that, and you have shooting at all 5 positions as well because we saw Naz Reid, and we saw Naz Reid guarding Jokic as well in the playoffs. So I think unlocking Naz Reid, if it allows him to become a better player, and then they get that. I don't know why they give him a pick too. They get that first round pick from Detroit. I think it's like top 14 to 15 protected, and we know they don't have any picks from Rudy Gobert trade. So, in my opinion, I agree because I heard this trade has been talked about all summer, but when they threw in DiVincenzo, that kind of got it done. But my question to you is, how do you feel about DiVincenzo supposedly being out of the Villanova club or whatever they call it themselves? That was all that was talked about when Bridges came over. With these guys going to play together again. But DiVincenzo being out, even though he just got his contract, he's playing with his boys, he's in New York. Was there any concern that he didn't want to be a part of that as a Knicks fan?
The only issue, like I said, with Dante was the fact that his minutes was going to be spotty, not consistent, and
he's going to be close to the lineup. I forgot about that.
And I think he will close the lineup, but it was just consistency, and he deserves. Like when I say deserves, he deserves to be consistent somewhere else. He would not guarantee it here based off of who he has playing around his positions.
Mm-hmm. So my follow-up is: does this move you all up in the Eastern Conference? Where did you have the Knicks before this trade? Where do you have them now?
So that's a good question. Before I had as a straight bona fide number 2. Based off the fact that I know Tim was going to run us, and we had the continuity that we had building off of last year, because everyone was still familiar with Julius Randle. So the only person that we really had to bring into the fold was Mikal, and Mikal was a solid player, above solid player. So I didn't have an issue with him filling in. Now you move Julius out the way, and then you bring in someone like Cat. You're going to need some time to gel. So we're going to need that first month, the first 2 months to kind of get a rhythm going on. So that might drop us in the standings a little bit. So, 4 to 5, 4 or 5 range.
I'm talking ultimately.
With that, okay, great. With that being said, it makes us easier for the postseason. Once we get our flow going, I think that we should be a top 5 offense, top 10 defense. It should move us into the postseason and have an easier postseason versus struggling. And I think that we was going to struggle to get wins in the postseason. So yes, I think it's championship, definitely championship. I think we come out.
Let's put y'all over Boston.
I think we come out the East for sure.
Okay, Calvin, your thoughts?
I if you would have asked me, a week ago, I probably would have said they're fighting for the number 1 seed in the East, only because I think Boston doesn't care about the regular season as much. Now it's going to take time to get adjusted. I'm assuming Mitchell Robinson, when he comes back, is not starting. He's coming off the bench as well, right? That's what you would.
That is to be determined. Okay. I would think so.
Okay. I think it's going to be time to get the rotation down, but I do think it's one of those things where they're more talented than 3/4 of the league. So if you're decent on that night, you should win those ball games. I still think at the end of the day, I'll probably have them second or third going to the playoffs. I'm still interested in Philly. Embiid's supposedly 25 pounds lighter. Don't know what that means because he still gets hurt in the regular season. Boston is Boston. They didn't lose anything. I'm just interested to see how the potential sale of the team and then talks of what they don't want to pay in luxury tax going down the road. But I got them second or third right now. I have them worse than regular season, but they could be better playoff wise with this lineup. So to be determined at this point.
Very interesting. All right, folks. We will.
What you got? What you got? Real
Me?
quick. Yeah.
3.
Okay.
I think they 3.
So just to follow up the final before we want to.
And number 2 is Philly. Go ahead.
Shannon Sharp actually, Cat is going on Club Shay Shay, and he just put a little promo out there, and I was like, how did he get him? So like did they know that? And then I seen that they're going to talk about the New York trade. So he it must be like impromptu. So Shannon has gotten to the level where I'm having impromptu interviews versus having it, scheduled and all that. No, we won't have it right now. And Catman's available. So I will be watching that.
You said Club Shay Shay. You didn't say Nightcap. Okay.
No, Club Shay Shay.
Yeah. Whole sit down interview. I wonder if you get anything out of him about what happened in Minnesota. That'd be interesting. Wow. Yeah, that's something else.
If you say something, it's gonna be about Ant.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about the Gobert trade. Was he up for that or not? Anyway, because he was essentially he didn't really need him, but anyway, it was a good luxury to have. All right, guys, look, it's been 40 minutes into this conversation. If you didn't notice by now, I've been a little bit not really talking much. I kind of been laying back because I said, look, I'm gonna get my time. My time is now. My time is now. It is time to talk the NFL. And guys, what better week of football to talk about than what we just experienced in last week's NFL season? What a phenomenal week for that team from Baltimore. We got to talk about them Baltimore Ravens, and we're going to talk about it.
We ain't talking about Tampa Bay.
I thought he was setting up Tampa Bay because we smashed the Eagles. But he was talking about my bad. You're right. You're right.
I think we'll be just fine. The Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football hosted the Buffalo Bills. And folks, if you've been watching Get Off the Damn Fence, if you've been watching the LNC Lock Show, last week I did a special LNC Lock Show solo because Calvin don't know how to answer his phone. But so I did that, you know what I mean, solo, and I told you
damn text message group
exactly what was going to happen. I said, if the Baltimore Ravens, and I told you this before the season, the key to this is 25 touches for Derrick Henry. If you run that man, everything else will be smooth as butter. It took 2 weeks of being stubborn, being stupid, playing against the tide for some reason, not wanting to be exactly who you are. You go out and get Derrick Henry in the offseason to bring him in so he can dictate the pace of the game. You bring him to be an asset to help Lamar Jackson, make things easier for him, open up the offense in a way where because the team's going to have to concentrate on Derrick Henry running the ball, now you get those easy play action passes. You get to hit the screen passes. You get to hit the little tight ends coming out of off the bootlegs. It's just so much is just available to you if you learn to run the football first. And what we saw 2 weeks in a row now against Dallas, a lot of people wasn't going to give them credit for that because it's against the Cowboys. They don't have a good run defense. But last week, the Buffalo Bills were riding high. 3-0. Defense was flying off the ball, had just put a complete, absolute beat down on last week on Monday Night Football against a quality opponent. And we all were like, hey, maybe Buffalo was for real. I'm guilty of it. Josh Allen wasn't terrible in that game. The defense held him in check.
I wonder who said they wasn't for real.
You will still be seeing Buffalo in the playoffs. That's a good football team. So you're going to undercut the Ravens win by saying that the Bills were not a good team? Is that what you're going to do, Calvin? Okay.
No, I'm giving Josh Allen credit. I
just want to say, I think the Ravens defense gets a lot of credit. But I need to talk about this offense first because it was efficient. It was consistent. They had a plan and they executed it. I saw more motion to open up the run blocking. Did you see some of the pulling guards? Did you see some of the putting Ricard at the tight end and letting him pull to go back to the full pack position, and then you sweeping across with the zone blocking scheme? I mean, the first play of the game, Derrick Henry with the trap block by Ricard off to the races. I mean, like, what more could you ask for? A tone setter? That's a demoralizer.
Yeah.
They were up 21-0 before you could blink. I mean, just phenomenal. And I just want to show one stat before you go, Calvin, and that is this. And I said this. Week 1, 13 touches, 46 yards. Week 2, 18 touches, 84 yards. Both of those L's. But then the last 2 weeks, 25, 151, W. 24, 199, W. That's the formula. And then it even opens up stuff for Justice Hill, who looking like one of the best backup running backs in the league, catching screens, catching all kinds of stuff out of the backfield, and could get you with a draw play here and there. Phenomenal game plan.
The draw play was deadly.
Phenomenal game plan. And Lamar, the game, he don't care about them stats. He was effective. He had that one bad fumble, but he was efficient.
Yeah.
So you gotta move that ball, and you have to respect Derrick Henry. I love it. I love it. If the Ravens continue to play like this, I have no doubt you will be seeing this team in New Orleans. I have no doubt.
Can Derrick Henry keep this up?
You have to work him. Now look, you acting like this guy is old or something.
No. I'm not saying that. My point is, if you run him this much, and I'll get into my thoughts on the game as well, he'll have what 340, 50 carries. And if he averages much, he'll have 2,000 yards. Can he keep this up? Can he keep this up?
If Hill continues to play like he does, and then you get your boy back off the injury.
So Keaton Mitchell takes away plays from who?
We'll have to figure that out. If you're saying that he's going to wear himself out, I'm saying if you do what you're supposed to do, he can rest the last couple games of the season because you won't need him. You'll be that far out in the head. If you do what you're supposed to do, go get this W, man. I think winning, you win, you are down. You were 0-2 on the season. You crawled your way back, doing what you're supposed to do. Are you just going to do a game plan just to say, oh, we don't want to wear them out? We want to win football games. Go give us your thoughts on this game.
Look, this was a complete effort. You didn't even mention the defense. Van Noy, Oweh, just the pressure they were able to. But Wiggins should have had 2 interceptions. The rookies out there playing well. And one thing when you have Wiggins and Stevens on the outside, and Stevens on the other hand has no balls. They can't tell when the ball is coming. There were 2 passes he could have easily turned his head around and got his hands on them. And one Keon Coleman dropped and one Keon Coleman caught. But going back to Wiggins, when you're able to put Marlon and Hamilton in the slots, and those are your guys that are forcing the run game back inside to Roquan and to Trenton Simpson and to Oweh and Van Noy, those guys are pursuing. The defense is playing better as well. And we saw what happened when the defense actually was able to get some rest later on. Unlike the Dallas game when they were on the field, I think 23 out of 25 plays starting the fourth quarter, they were able not to give up any points late. All around phenomenal game plan. My only issue that I'll say, what's up with your boy Mark Andrews?
We watch the film?
Wait, hold up.
I had that one drop.
I watched the game, and then I watched the game again. He had the one drop, but do you think he's into it? That's all I'm saying.
Let me say
we saw the run blocking. I understand, but is he happy not getting the pass thrown to him? That's all.
Let me say this:
That's all I'm asking.
If you ain't into it, you're not throwing them blocks he was throwing. I really wish y'all would break this film down. I gotta pull out the all 22. I'm sorry, Mark Andrews. Did you see him on them edges? Did you see him open up them running lanes for Derrick Henry? And every time he was the first one to congratulate.
The Lamar touchdown play where the guards go left, and I want to say it was Ricard and Likely, or was it Likely
with that block all the way into the end zone?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Andrews cleared them out too. I mean,
you had your two. It was either I knew it was either Andrews or Ricard. I couldn't remember who it was.
It was both.
You had your 2 tight ends leading the way on a linebacker and I believe on a safety. You had your guards pulling. Yeah, I can't look. If you want to run the ball like that and you're going to control the clock and you control the line of scrimmage, and you haven't had – when was the last time you had we talked about the line play? Because we were talking about the line play the first 2 weeks. Now, granted, we haven't talked about we haven't talked about we haven't talked about Ryan Stanley being offsides as well. But I haven't seen any place else in the league. That's a whole nother conversation. But when we last time we talked about a line play, you're missing your starting left guard. Right. Rosenstein at right tackle. Yeah. The first play of the game, you run right. You run right. Now, granted, it was a couple plays where he got beat by Von Miller. He's a rookie. That's perfectly fine. But Lamar was able to get out of that situation. I don't see how you can't start him, but he's playing well at right tackle position. But you got Voorhees as well at left guard, and you move McCurry to that position. But look, they're gonna be tough to beat, and they going to Cincinnati first game in the division. And we know how good their run game is. We've seen what they do yet, so why would anything be different this week?
All right, so
we let you talk about the Knicks for like 20 minutes.
I didn't say anything. Y'all had it. So you know, the number one thing I said is that the Ravens have to establish some type of identity. They didn't have one. They established that. Okay, that's a check. 2, I said, what's the easiest thing when it comes to a line, to offensive lineman? Pass block or run block? Run block. Just plow your way forward. That's what they did. It's sinking now, right? Everything's flowing. With all that being said, Van Noy saved the whole game for you guys.
That strip set.
That strip set, because it was like 21-10 or something like that. It was and I felt like they was about to score. That would have definitely changed a lot of momentums, and then a lot of those demons that y'all have in closing out games would have just been right there. But he saved it. So shout out to him for doing his job. Right, you know, he had one of the most resurgence. Everyone thought it was maybe Clowney, the one that was doing it last year. He was just like a benefactor. No, he's proven that he found a fountain of youth somewhere, and he is legit. So shout out to Van Noy for providing pressure like that. And the defense completely just took the Bills out of it from that point on. It was just done. But could you tell me how many catches that Rashad Bateman had?
Yeah, 1 or 2, didn't he?
Yeah, we had one. Could you tell me how many Zay Flowers had? He had one. Likely to have one catch.
Maybe one.
And Mark?
0.
Okay. This is well and good. And you saw the effort was there, right? So they are blocking. They're blocking downfield. That's the only way that you can have a running back go for almost 200 yards. Right? Everything had to do it. Not talking about Justin.
Okay.
I'm not talking about him. It has nothing to do with him. He's a running back. He has a different type of stats. What I'm saying is, eventually, if this continues, hopefully it does not continue. But if it continues and these players aren't meeting to their incentives and their contracts, you're going to see problems. You as a fan, we as fans, we like to hope and think that the players that's on the field is only playing for one goal. That's a championship. If you're not playing for championship, why are you even playing? That's nice. That's what we want. But the realistic side of it is they are playing to get more money. They are playing to provide generational wealth for themselves and further generations. If they're not making their stats, you will have eventual pushback and mutiny some kind of way. It's bound to happen. You cannot say that my wide receivers are only going to get one catch. If they had one catch, that's only going to be 25 catches on the damn season. Is that what we want? Is that what y'all want for Zay Flowers?
I think you're talking about the wrong thing.
I'm just saying it's great now.
You lucky you got a job.
The name that you mentioned.
You lucky you got a job, but you're saying that right now. If I'm Zay Flowers, I need to prove myself. Y'all not allow me an opportunity to prove myself.
It's two things you're not mentioning. That you're not mentioning. One, the run will eventually open up the pass.
Yes,
there will be times when you need to throw the ball, and they will be able to throw the ball. And then because of the threat of the run, how many times in the last 2 weeks was it a play action pass and Charlie Kohler in Dallas, or even Mark Andrews, the pass that he dropped when he was wide open because the linebacker took 3 steps up, or the pass to Likely, they will be open because of the pass. That's one. 2, Andrews, in my opinion, at this point, Andrews isn't getting another contract here unless he takes a severe reduction because of Likely. I'm not worried about Zay, who's in the second year. Aguilar seems to love being here for whatever reason. Bateman just signed a 3-year contract, so who am I really worried about besides Andrews, who's most likely not going to be here, maybe even past the season. Let's take
I think he'll be
salary
here.
reduction.
He'll be here.
So
I think I hear what you're saying about players wanting to make sure they get their numbers and their stats. Completely valid. But you were 0-2, and you saw a game plan. Look, this team was in the AFC Championship game just last year. They know what it is to be successful and then get to a certain point and then fall on your face. So I think this is the mentality. Get me. I work down there. I see these players coming in and out of the locker room, coming in and out of the facility. Winning is of the utmost importance, and they all say the right things.
Yeah, until that one reporter hit him up that one day. So this is your third game in a row for just having one target. How do you feel about that?
Who's the player, the all-pro player? Who's the OBJ or the Antonio Brown that's going to have that mentality? Hollywood Brown had that problem. We don't have a Hollywood Brown on this team. I'm telling you, we don't. That's not how they think. And Zay has been getting his touches all year. We weren't successful when he was getting. Remember when Lamar was forcing him the ball? And those screen passes, he would go for a couple yards here and there. He'll get his touches. He knows that. In the course of the flow of the game, things will be fine. Let's not focus on foolishness.
I'm just saying that it's a funny situation because who talked about it after the game? Your main person, Lamar Jackson, talked about it after the game.
He said people kept hitting him up because they had him on their fantasy team or they bet on their
how
gambling.
How about
and they
he's smarter than what you think? He knows that people's going to talk about those stats. So he's saying it right now. I don't care about stats. All I care about is winning, as a leader should.
Lamar
so as a shout out to Lamar for saying that. NFL. But all I'm saying is that he said that for a reason, and you think it's because people was hitting him up. No, he was making sure that everyone knew I don't care about those other guys as long as we win the game. That's what he was saying. Of course, I'm just reading between the lines.
When we cared about stats, he was the MVP of the league last year. If he cared about stats, what did it get him? He ain't win no title. We're trying to win championships. That's the goal. That's the goal. But overall, I thought, honestly, and I'll say this. I said John Harbaugh got to week 8, baby. This is a couple more weeks to go. They need to be consistent. You can't go out against Cincinnati on the road on Sunday and wet the bed. You can't go out there and get away from this game plan and wonder, what happened? No. The defense, you giving people a little bit more credit. I'm gonna give the safeties credit. If you watch the depth of the safeties, it was completely different on Sunday. And I said that. I said they will get eaten alive across that middle if they play 25 to 30 yards off the ball, as they did against Dallas in the second half, as they did the week before against the Raiders when the Raiders were able to come back. They never did that in this game. Go back and watch the film. They kept a good depth. They didn't let those receivers from Buffalo get the same cushion that they were able to get last week or the last 2 weeks. You never heard they had maybe one or two good plays. That one play that Josh Allen threw that spectacular pass where he rolled all the way to the sideline
and got behind.
That was an emphasized play. That was
behind Wiggins.
That wasn't a design play. I'm not going to act like the defense. I'm not blaming the defense for anything they did necessarily wrong coverage-wise.
Let the receiver get behind you. I blame you for that.
It's a busted play. I think it was just, they thought they took their foot off the gas thinking, he got to run out of bounds or you're going to get a late hit. I think the guy pulled up a little bit thinking he was too close to the sideline.
Look, I'm surprised. I'm glad it happened, but I'm surprised that the hit on the flea flicker didn't get because I don't know, was it Travis Jones? Yeah, I don't mean it was legit because he wasn't a quarterback at that point.
Yeah, he was a runner at that point.
Yeah, he was a runner at that point.
You're supposed to smack him as hard as you can.
But they went high low on him. I was like, they about to throw a flag.
And then Marlon got a penalty on that play. But anyway, I thought it was a phenomenal performance, and I'll get into the nuts and bolts of it this week on the LSC Lock Show, and we'll pull out the all 22 because it's time to do it. It's time. It's too much film showing the greatness of this blocking, and I got to give that offensive line credit. They're starting to gel. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but also I give Todd Monken credit. Because if you saw, the formations were a lot different this week. They would start Ricard out on the tight end like they were doing the last couple weeks.
Then they would leak them back into
they went to Matt and then they switched to run heavy. That's what they did.
Man.
That's what they did. Yeah. Where this formation come from?
Some of them bootleg plays was phenomenal. Lamar had a touch on the ball. Oh, man.
When you have a Patrick Ricard, you have a luxury that most teams don't have. And it was a crime. It was a crime that y'all was not using him. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Patrick.
Hey, he fumbled the ball, but he still scored.
We're gonna look past that.
we'll move on.
Just block. We don't need you to run the ball.
Let's get into some other games throughout this NFL season because this week was kind of interesting. So, I try to start with the teams that are associated with us here on the podcast. So we have to go to the game on Sunday.
The other dominant game of the season, of the week. That's what you was about to say. I got you. Don't worry about it.
Let me speak on this because I figured you would come in here ready to gloat. The Buccaneers defeated the Philadelphia Eagles without their two best receivers.
Oh, here we go.
Lane Johnson, one of the best right tackles in all of football.
Yep.
Defensive players missing left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And then a coach who was just a stupid idiot. And I don't know, man. The last 11 games, the Eagles have won 3. Now, I picked the Eagles to go pretty far this season, and I'm regretting that decision. Unlike you guys, hold up.
I think we all did, actually.
I think we all had them.
I picked the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl and win.
But still pretty far.
But we all had them as number 1 seed, I believe.
I had the 49ers number 1 seed.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm wrong on that too because they hurt too. But you never know. It's still a lot of season left. But yeah, let's take a look at our weekly review.
That Miami pick looking good.
We all got the Eagles to win.
Yeah, we all had the Eagles.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'll shut that down now. But anyway,
our top 3 all the same. It's that AFC South is different.
But they've won 3 games out of that last 11. What is wrong in Philly? That is terrible. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's start with the Bucs. Justin, bounce back game for Baker Mayfield. He played great. I thought he was sensational on Sunday after that porous performance the week before against a Denver Broncos team, right? Was that Denver they lost to?
Mm-hmm.
And in Denver, clearly, that defense
is legit.
Aaron Rodgers had the same fate this past week. But, interesting. What was your thoughts?
Like I said, I expected this type of outcome. Only because I believe last week was a track game. I said it. And I said sometimes you just overlook your next opponent, and that's exactly what they did. They overlooked them because they knew Philadelphia was on the horizon, and then right after Philadelphia, it's Atlanta for the Thursday night game. That's where their mind was at. Although you try to take it one game at a time, but you saw what Denver was up until that point. Like, you're not worried about Denver, worried about Philadelphia. We're so much of a better team. Yeah, we got way too cocky, and we got smacked for that. So we bounced back. Baker bounces back. Mike Evans has a great game. Bucky Irvin has a good game. Our running back. Shout out to Rashad Wright. You're trying, brother, but you about to get that spot took. The defense was flying around.
You thought White was going to have a pretty good year.
You know, sometimes young legs is just better than somewhat young legs. It's just, it is what it is. But Tampa Bay is clearly proven to be, I said it last year, then we want to take the Philadelphia and we're going to put them out their misery. We did that for the playoffs, took them boys and put them right out of their misery. And what we did right there, we put a spotlight on that misery this past week. And Larry, you alluded to it earlier. Yeah, they had injuries, but you still want to perform better than what they did. The score wasn't, it was worse than what the score is actually showing you right now. The problem is, and Jalen Hurts said it after the game, he has a problem with the coach. They don't speak. They're not on the same page. After the loss, when Saquon had dropped the ball against was it Tennessee? Whoever they lost to when he dropped the ball. Atlanta. They had a players only meeting already in
week 2.
Like, wait a second, right? So something is going on. And I think Nick he's definitely the odd man out. How many times can you change coordinators? How many times can you do this? Jalen's out there. He's trying to play. It's just he was outgunned. But the lack of this concern when it came to him talking about his coach, it's very problematic. And they really need Philadelphia, that is, if they plan on going far into the playoffs and going to they have the team for it. They have to get rid of that coach. They are at a standing point right now, and it has to be done. We just put a little shine on that.
It's kind of interesting because if you look at it, since they went to the Super Bowl, they lost both of their coordinators, and they've changed the defensive coordinator twice, and it's not working. So clearly, your head coach was profiting from the coaches that were on his staff, And once they're gone, the emperor has no clothes. He's been exposed. I mean, it just is what it is. He's not the same coach that you thought you hired. When your offensive coordinator is now the coach of this coach has that offense humming, regardless of who the quarterback is 2 years in a row. Your defensive coordinator, we've seen what Ben Johnson, the same type of situation. So I think it's very interesting that, head coaches around the league, sometimes they're only as good as their staff, and then other people, they just get another defensive coordinator and the ball keeps rolling. So clearly he's not one of those guys. Calvin, your thoughts on this particular ball game?
Look, I can't say I was surprised after all the injuries that the Philadelphia Eagles, were incurring and what they were going to deal with over the weekend. I'm still surprised by Baker Mayfield's play, but he's playing.
Why you
well.
continue to be surprised about his play? He's playing.
I saw him play against Denver last week. So can you explain that?
It was a trap game. I just explained it to you. They were overlooking their opponent.
Okay, so you're not supposed to have a trap game when you're that good of a quarterback. Am I correct?
It happens.
You're supposed to win those games if you're an elite quarterback. Even
not
if it's a trap game,
undefeated.
When you're an elite quarterback, a trap game is a game that you win when a win that's closer than it should be.
He might not be elite, but he's very, very good. You shouldn't be surprised that he played well.
It's very interesting.
Why are you surprised that he played well?
So, as I was saying, I think he's being carried by the receivers and the running back room. However,
did you see that first throw? That first touch, he threaded the needle. The needle was threaded.
This week, I'm saying it now. This comes to an end in Atlanta. So when we convene
Atlanta,
next week,
that barely survived New Orleans and throwing turnovers
we'll be talking about how Kirk Cousins dismantled this Tampa Bay offense.
Don't disrespect my man, Kirk. Interesting. We're going to keep an eye on that. Again, we on some rapid fire tonight because we got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about the quickly Cowboys and Giants game from last Thursday night. This is no game that anybody will write home about. Nothing to really talk long about. Calvin, give me quick thoughts on your Cowboys.
Look, I've consistently said this team cannot be good teams. There's no reason that you struggle with the New York Giants team coming off a short week. Where was that prolific offense? Where was his passing game? We already know that the run game is non-existent. But they let Malik Neighbors almost win this ball game until he went out with a concussion. He was getting whatever he wanted to against the Dallas defense. I've said they can't be good teams. The offense is going to be what it's going to be, but the defense can't stop anybody. And at this point, it may be a Washington division to lose with the struggles from Dallas and also from Philadelphia. Nothing to expect. Nothing more to say here. This game should have been a blowout. It shouldn't have been this close. When you struggle with these teams, this is the type of team that you're eventually going to become. And I have no expectation for the Cowboys, as I mentioned numerous times throughout this podcast.
Justin?
First and foremost, I get a kick out the look of disgust that you have on your face right now. I just want to let you know that you have a look of disgust on your face, and it shows from the team, and y'all actually won the game. Lord. Shout out to CD from breaking that one play wide open. That's pretty much the reason why you won. And after that, it was just a bunch of field goals.
That was
it was a phenomenal play. Dak is good for 1 or 2 plays a game. So we're going to give some love for Dak for that. But that's about it. Like I said, it was only because of the other homeboy Neighbors getting hurt. That's the reason why they lost. That's the only reason.
And Daniel Jones sucks. But let's move on. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, and I just wanted to go rewind about 5 minutes ago. Someone said if you're an elite quarterback, you can't lose to Denver. It should be no track game.
Yeah.
Well,
I said that.
If we go to the season predictions, the Jets appear on your division leader winner. And Justin, you got them in the playoffs, but you high on the Jets. You got to go into the Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. Correct?
I got to win the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. So y'all let me know. Did that team look like it's winning anything? I'm sorry. I'm not impressed. As I said before the season, this team is greatly overrated. You hold Denver to 10 points and you can't score 11? You can't what? Like what? What? It was horrible. Aaron Rodgers looked slow, as I said he would. He looks like he's lost 2 or 3 steps. His timing is not down. He was holding the ball a lot longer than he needed to, He was overestimating the timing of his the time that he had in the pocket, and Denver roughed him up. And they weren't even impressive. I think the quarterback threw for like 20 yards. Like, it wasn't nothing. Like, I'm sorry, man. That was pathetic. That was pathetic. I'll start with you, Calvin. What's your thoughts on this game?
This offense was utterly pathetic on Sunday. I don't understand how you have. I think they had 5 false start penalties at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then the coach blames it on the hard count.
Yeah.
I don't know how long. I don't know how long Saleh's going to continue to be the head coach there if he keeps the butt heads with Aaron Rodgers. But
yeah, y'all want to fire the coach.
We could decide whose side we're going to take. But a team that scores 9 points at home against a Broncos team, regardless of the condition, regardless of the rain, you had the better run game, you had the better defense, you had the better quarterback, you had the better team as a whole. You're only able to put up 9 points. Very disappointing game from the New York Jets.
Breece Hall. Oh, that guy, y'all. Oh, y'all praise Breece Hall.
Somebody said he's going to have 2,000 yards.
I'm still waiting for Breece Hall to step on the field.
It wasn't me.
When he has that 250-yard game, don't
okay. All right.
You're gonna need like 4 of them.
No, he just need one to catch up. So with that being said, what you're seeing is you guys are falling right into Aaron Rodgers' hands, right? Sure. So you're thinking that it's all hope is lost. It's not going to work out. Where is this playoff run going to come from? And you see the writings on the wall, and then all of a sudden, over in Las Vegas, somebody made themselves available. And all of a sudden, the Jets had one of the worst games you ever seen offensively. I'm just saying the two, they didn't. This is not a coincidence. I have to play bad so I can force my ownership and my GM and my front office's hand. Cool. They got Aaron is forcing their hands, and I can't win if I don't have him. And they're going to go in on and get Devontae Adams for a measly old second-round pick or whatever the case is going to be. And he's going to come over there, and they're going to go on a 7 to 8 game winning streak. That's what's going to happen. All I'm saying is that Aaron had to do something. He had to sacrifice himself, holding the ball too long, taking the sacks. He had to sacrifice his own well-being to get his mans and them over so they can have what they say is a championship run, and I 100% believe in them. So
that is the most pathetic argument I've heard in quite some time. First of all, when they brung Aaron Rodgers, they gave him everything. They said, "Hey man, you make the roster you want." Y'all said this was a Super Bowl roster without Devontae. Now you telling me, to get over the hump, we need Devontae Adams.
Times change, things happen.
Where's that great receiving core y'all talked about? That young receiver that Aaron was just supposed to take.
Garrett Wilson has proven that he's a qualified number 2.
He looked great last week. He looked great last week on Monday Night.
They looked good last week.
Against who? Who they play? Who was that? Huh? What scrub team? Okay. Now you can play Denver after you took Nathaniel Hackett, that bum, and brung him over there with you to the Jets and installed this great offense. That offense is trash. And then Breece Hall, they don't even run him like that. Like, what are we talking about? Aaron Rodgers is, I said this, I've experienced it. I was a Packers fan when he was in Green Bay them last few years. The guy will dink and dunk, take a shot here or there. He throws the ball away, make business decisions left and right. He's not that guy no more. I'm sorry, he's not. And that game was case in point. Will he pull a miracle out of his ass here and there? Yeah, he will, because he's still got the talent in him. But he's 40 years old, and he's not Tom Brady. Everybody is not Tom Brady that can play to you 44, 45 and still be efficient and not get hit. The man's getting rocked. I mean, look, I'm sorry, man. He's a step slow, and they need to figure some out. Maybe get him some more protection. That defense did that job. I'm not going to hold the defense for that one. And then the kicker, you had a chance to be the hero. Everybody hitting 50-yarders these days. I didn't see the flags moving on. Both kickers missed. Denver could have took a 4-point lead, but they missed a 50-yarder. So it's like you had a second win and still lost. I'm sorry, man. Pathetic. You got 4 quarters. You scored 9 points. You Aaron Rodgers, and y'all supposed to be the Super Bowl favorite. Yeah, I said my piece.
Thank you.
Next up, we got to talk about JD5, man. This guy. Wow. Calvin, you talked about look out. Justin, you were first. You were definitely first. What was your thoughts?
You didn't have the courage to take them to win the division, so don't say that.
No one had the courage to take it. They didn't have the courage to take their own self.
Okay. I said he was beating Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. I said look out for him. I put that on.
I put him on those before the season start with.
I put him on. No, you didn't. I don't see you taking him, but maybe I'm missing that Commanders logo.
Yeah,
I even said last time when Larry brought this, when he showed this last week, I said the only thing I would do is I will put the Commanders in for the Bears. I was wrong on that. I
Better
said
late
that.
than never. Better late than never.
You never said it though.
Better late than never. I ain't gotta make the playoffs now. I ain't going that far, but I think he will be rookie of the year.
You just said they about to win a division when you were talking about the Cowboys.
I said you. I didn't say we won the division. I said not win the division. Unlike
you did.
Okay, we rephrase.
You're messing up and Cowboys messing up.
They're not winning the division. I say that. It's still gonna be Philadelphia. I didn't mean that. You want to say they're gonna?
So you ain't even standing 10 toes down, but you're over here beating your chest.
If you want to say they're gonna make the playoffs, that's fine. I'm talking about what Justin did not have the courage or conviction to do preseason. But however, as I was saying, Jaden Daniels, JD5 is playing like the potential rookie of the year. He's leading that offense. They put up 42 points, I believe.
4 weeks.
42 points. I think he had 3 incompletions.
Yeah.
A couple touchdown plays. Like
run.
Like he's playing phenomenal right at this point, leading that offense to what that 3-1, I believe. They're 3-1 so far. Yeah. He's playing phenomenal. There's nothing you gotta give him credit. You got him credit for leading that offense. The defense has stepped up, and also you gotta give credit to Cliff Kingsbury as well. He took his lumps out there in Arizona, but offensively, he seems to be a great offensive coordinator and putting JD5 in position to, what he can do best, at least right now, just give him the opportunity to grow and lead this offense. So those two guys right now leading that team.
Very efficient quarterback too.
Yeah.
That's the key. Justin, your thoughts?
Stop me if you heard this before, but we have a quarterback in Washington. Not only can run the ball, but he's excellent at passing the ball, and he's pretty quick too. Just long as he don't play.
We know what happened. They played the Ravens this year too. We know what happened.
Yeah, hopefully he slides.
No, I was talking about the Hagodi Nada hit. That's what I'm talking about.
So with that being said, JD is just doing what I predicted, to have a great season. And his team is actually playing lights out too. That's what I was concerned about.
Man,
I honestly thought that Chicago had a better overall team, but they don't. Washington is definitely out. They're doing their job. He's like I said, he got with Scary Terry, and they on the same page now, catching bombs.
Man, some of them throws, man. I mean, look, the ball is right. Like only he can catch it. You know what I mean? Like, God damn.
So he's doing everything he's supposed to do. The running game is stepping up, and this is without Austin Eckler, which I thought was going to be a very pivotal for his career, for his early start. JG5 is for real. That's when I said when you said potential rookie of the year, whatever you said. No, it is over. Caleb cannot catch up with them because there are two different quarterbacks. One has a firm grasp of what's going on, and the other one is still struggling. Even if he gets out that struggle stage, JD5, I don't think he's going to regress like that. Now, he's not going to have the same game as this, of course not, but he's not going to go far back into what Caleb is right now. That's why I said it's over. He already put himself too far in advance above him, and that's just what I feel. We are looking at CJ Stroud part 2. He's going to have that kind of a season. I just hope that Caleb is not Bryce Young. So JD5 was doing everything that he's supposed to do. And like I said, I'm just glad that we had him week 1.
I just say because you never know what could happen injury wise.
Okay, injuries, yeah.
Malik Neighbors might go crazy and Caleb goes down the hill a little bit. You never know if his numbers don't stay at this level. I think sometimes I like to take it slow with rookies. Let's see how it play out. He's been playing well, but he hasn't gotten to the meat of the schedule yet. Hasn't played a Philly, hasn't played a Dallas, haven't played some of the tougher games on the schedule.
And interesting, they play each other too. So I think that'll go a long way also in deciding rookie of the year.
Yeah, and you never know. We still haven't even talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. He could go bonkers and go off.
First quarter, Marvin Harrison.
Hey,
because he shows up. And
this is the
not
first
show
quarter
up
of the
quarters 2 to
season.
4.
I'm just saying, we'll see as
Basically,
things progress.
That's his quarterback. I ain't blaming him.
We'll see if things progress and how things go. But anyway, they beat that Marvin Harrison on Sunday. It was very interesting.
At home, right? In Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, he played college ball there. But
let's move on. Washington was very interesting in track, but let's talk about that Colts team under that man, Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco took over for Anthony Richardson last Sunday, and the Colts were able to defeat the Steelers. The score was a lot closer than it actually was because this was a blowout for a while. Give the Steelers credit. Give Justin Fields credit for trying to come back. I didn't think Fields played bad, honestly. I just thought that, Flacco was too much for him. Let's call it what it is. Flacco was out there dealing, man, carving that Steelers defense up. TJ Watt couldn't get to the quarterback. I was stunned because if you move Flacco off his spot, typically he'll throw you 1 or 2. Not on Sunday. Played a clean game. And hey, man, Anthony Richardson once again down with injury. But I heard he could have came back into the game. Did y'all hear that?
Well, but wait. But when he came back into the game and they ended up running. He ran the ball the very next play and took another hit.
Yeah.
Why would you even call that play?
Yeah, that was
because it wasn't like it was a passing scramble. It was a designed run.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't hear he could come back in the game after that. That was just stupid.
Yeah, I find that very interesting. But I think Flacco plays well within that Stidham offense. And if you recall, that's that same offense they ran in Philly. That was like it's very similar. It's not exactly a West Coast offense. It's a playoff of it. But when you have a good running back like a Jonathan Taylor behind you, that play action pass is similar to the Cleveland offense. It's just a lot easier to run. So he was able to come in and just pick it up right away. But I was stunned they put up this amount of points against that Pittsburgh defense. And but again, I didn't think Justin Fields. This wasn't on him. This was on that Pittsburgh defense because they did offensively. They were able to move the ball, and I thought they looked good even after Warren got hurt. Give what's his name? Starting running back Najee Harris played well. So overall I thought the Steelers made a game of it at the end, but give Flacco credit, man. He got history with them Steelers. He knows what to do. Justin, your thoughts?
Justin had about 300 yards, led the team in rushing. So he tried. It's definitely not a Russell Wilson like comparison. Like he's got that. Because that's what people say. Well, as soon as he lose, he still played pretty decently. Put up 3 touchdowns and everything like that. So he definitely did his thing. Let me ask y'all a question, right? Because it's not necessarily about this game, but it's about the game. Because we're not going to talk about Miami so far. The Dolphins, and I hold their coach, I hold their front office criminally accountable for not guaranteeing a good to a great backup quarterback for Tua. I'm not talking about Russ though. I'm talking about Flacco. If he was available, and we all know Flacco's on, imagine what he can do with what's going on in Miami. All I'm saying is that it's this right here. Injuries happen. We all know that. But this might be the game of the 2 best teams that got the 2 best backups, right, in the league. Because you never know what can happen to your quarterback. And I'm just saying, I just wanted to come from a different angle.
That's a good one.
I love the fact that Joe Flacco is proving like why you need a bona fide veteran, high-level quarterback. Just like Andy Dalton, a bona fide high-level quarterback that been through some games, that been through some playoff games or something at least. Just something that I can fall back on, whereas though if I'm a player, if I'm a wide receiver or whatever the case may be on the field, like, yo, I'll look over to you. I still believe that we can win a game. It's not over. Yeah. Right. So I just wanted to just give a little shout out to the Flacco, the fact that he's still playing well. He's still putting his team in position to win, in which he did. And you know what? I'm not going to say that they set Anthony Richardson up on that run play that you're talking about, but it looked like they set him up on that run play that you're talking about. All I'm saying, because all of a sudden Mike Pittman started getting catches, and we was like, where was Mike Pittman all season and stuff? He started to spread the ball around, and everybody was happy. I'm not saying that Joe Flacco's a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. All I'm saying is that it just pays to have.
Look,
It
I
pays
do want
to
to
have
make
a good backup.
it's
That's
a hell
all
of
I'm
a
saying.
point, though. It's a hell of a point because if you really think about it, of course, we a little closer to it. His Ravens fans, Flacco was not playing well. You know what I mean? Those last few years, he never got healthy again. If you remember, Flacco got a bad concussion. I mean, and remember that week he's tried to slide. And
it was against Miami.
It was downhill from there. And he just never. It was one nagging thing after another, and then they go get Lamar, and Lamar took his job. I mean, it is what it is, and we never look back. So I think this was it for him. But I really do commend him for keeping himself in good shape, getting back fully healthy, and making himself an asset. And I agree with you. A team like a Miami would have been perfect for him, but I don't really know the timeline of when Indy went out and got him. Was it early in the offseason? Was he a late June pickup?
Had those concussion issues, you should have said, I need to pay high money or
I'm
whatever.
stunned Cleveland ain't bring him back.
That's
you know
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying.
That's even more, yeah.
I get what you mean though, because I can't really think of who's the last really good backup who just was out there and able to come in and deliver. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of one. I really can't. So yeah, Russ would be one of the best backups in the league if given the opportunity. Sure, I don't think he's a good starter, but from a backup perspective, the right to ship after your starter goes down, hell yeah, you put him in there and see what you can get out of the deal because you can at least stay afloat. Because we saw Huntley, Jesus, man, Lord, help me. Jeez.
That was a terrible game to watch.
And before that, Skylar Thompson, he
was
terrible game.
He went down there.
He got hurt. Before he got
started questioning that offensive line.
He signed with Indy in March.
Oh, so they got him early.
It didn't feel like it was that long. I feel like, I don't know why I thought it was like May or June. I didn't think it was.
That's early. That's soon as free agency starts.
I would have got him as soon as Cleveland let him go.
I agree that, they should have gotten a better backup. Just going back to this game, I don't know if you're Indy and you have, you got to develop a young quarterback, but if you want to win ball games,
let him sit.
You got to put Flacco in.
Let him sit, man. He wasn't playing great. I like his deep ball, but everything had to be deep.
I mean, I told him I wasn't high on him coming into the season, and I hope I was proven wrong. He had a decent game against Houston. They won a game earlier.
So y'all saying right now he needs to sit?
No, I let him get healthy. Let him get healthy.
Let him. Okay, he's 100% next week.
Let me make sure you're 105%.
You said the team quit on him. You said the team quit on him, so you got to take that into account too. Yeah, you try and win football games, man. You try and win football games. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs got the big victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. And while that's not a surprise on the score sheet, the big story out of this was Rashee Rice went down with an ACL. He's out for the season.
Well, they haven't confirmed it yet.
I thought I heard early this evening that he was, but you can let me know once you know. But he ain't coming out there right now. Let's put it that way. And he was on fire, one of the top 5 receivers in the league. Before Sunday, I think he was like top number 2 or 3, becoming Patrick Mahomes' favorite weapon, so much so that he was getting a lot of the touches that Travis Kelce was typically getting. And I think this would be a huge blow to the Kansas City Chiefs. What's your thoughts on that injury and what the impact it would have to the Chiefs? And how far do you see this team going? Because they've been looking pretty stagnant, honestly, ever since game 1 against the Ravens. And even that one was a nail biter. No game has been dominating for the Chiefs thus far this season. I'll start with you, Calvin.
Yeah, so I'm looking like the most recent report just said he was out for week 5, but they couldn't determine that
they don't know if it's the ACL yet.
Yeah, which is interesting because I thought that was one of the things that you kind of know right away from the MRI. That you just know it's ACL.
Yeah, it should be know if it's a tear. Somewhere.
So it makes me wonder like what could it be then, but look, the Chiefs' offense is really struggling. We talked about Devontae Adams going to possibly the Jets. This is another option. You down Rashee Rice. You're down Hollywood Brown.
Not in that same division, bro.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the pup list. Isaiah Pacheco was hurt. So you're down. You're starting 2 running backs. You're starting 2 receivers. Travis Kelce hasn't had an impact that we expected to have him yet. So you're really just down to Xavier Worthy, who's a rookie, and Pat Mahomes. So I mean, you say not in the division, but you take the best price you can get. If they say we're gonna give you a late first round draft pick, you gotta make what you gotta do what you can do. The Chargers played better than I expected. I've already heard chirps about the offense because of what Justin Herbert is doing or what he's not doing. I believe I've read that prior to this year, he never threw for under 180 yards in the game. He hasn't thrown over 180 yards in the game yet this year. He's hurt, but it's the offense as well, and they're running the ball more. So that's what you got to expect. But the Chiefs get out with a crucial victory. They got to get healthy. If they get healthy on offense, it's decent. But their division is so bad that they don't even have to dominate these games to win the division. So they're really at that part of the schedule. If they win these division games against the Raiders, against the Denver, and against the Chargers, who no one thinks will compete,
I don't know, man.
Win the division.
Denver might be better than you think. They got a quarterback, but they got everything else.
I don't think so.
Go Knicks still for 40 now.
Good win for Kansas City, and like it was closer than I expected it to be. But as late, Kansas City gets the calls, or Kansas City makes the play, however you look at it. But not really expecting much from. I expected more, but with Rashee Rice's injury, and I wonder how this plays into his possible suspension as well. We talked about that beginning of the season, but Kansas City still has more to prove.
Justin.
Yeah, it's sad to see what happened to Rashee Rice and his high-speed incident that he had with Patrick Mahomes.
Your own teammate take you out.
Hey,
that was tough. So it is what it is. But I think that opened things up for Travis Kelce, like you just said. All of a sudden now he got 7-8 catches and starting to look like the old Travis again. So, you guys said it best. Like with their division that they're in, that can afford them time to get healthy a little bit more. Hollywood is coming back. We just don't know how soon he's coming back. Xavier Worthy, with every game he's going to get better. And he will find better ways to scheme him up. And the catch that he caught against the Chargers, my God, that was a beautiful throw and catch. So, they're not worried. I feel sorry for the rookie running back, the Game of Thrones looking dude, Steele. He let Kareem take a spot. It's pretty sad.
Kareem taking a spot regardless. We knew that.
He fumbled though, right? Now he fumbled in back-to-back games.
Pressure, man.
You can't do that too much, man, with a rookie. So it is what it is for him. But this is more like on the Chargers. We said this earlier. I know I said it earlier in the previews. They brought a running philosophy over because they do not trust Justin Herbert. They just don't trust him. And he's shown multiple times that he can't be trusted to win games. So they literally tried to say, like, hey, we're going to take the ball away from you, all this other stuff. We're going to establish a run. We're going to show people who we are. And then when that slowed up, all right, Justin, you got it now, right? You can bail us. No, he can't, because he's still not that guy. Y'all say injuries. I just say this is who he is. He's not 180. I'm not going to disrespect him. I'm not saying that, but he's just not that guy. And if they're not running the ball effectively, then they're going to put it into his hands. And clearly, he's just not it. So
the guy's walking around on one leg. Y'all watching these games?
He's still got two good arms.
He should not be.
He got arm to throw the ball. He should. If he's in there, if he steps on the field, then he plays. If he doesn't want to, if he's that injured, sit out and just get better.
I don't think he should be playing. He didn't even look. The injury report last week indicated
it was game time decision.
Yeah, like I don't even know why you put him in there, especially against a Chiefs defense, who we all know is one of the best defenses in the league. That was just a foolish thing by Jim Harbaugh. Got to eat that. Maybe just don't. You talk about backups. If you knew your quarterback was injured coming into the season, you should have did a better job getting the backup and giving him some time to rest. So yeah, that's coaching. So I put more stock into the injury part of this thing here, because I've seen Herbert at least play good enough to get a lead. They don't even have the ability. The man is a one-legged man out there. It's kind of bad. It's kind of bad, and that's when other injuries start happening, because you start overcompensating. So we'll see. Next up, the Falcons got a big victory over the New Orleans Saints in a barn burner. This game was back and forth at one point, but then the Falcons were able to pull out and get a lead. And give New Orleans credit, they never quit. Derek Carr played a little better, but they were able to pull in. But in the end, the field goal walked it off. Kirk Cousins did exactly what he needed to do. I think the rapport that he's building with his receivers is getting better and better by the week. This wasn't 100% clean by any stretch, but I do like to see the improvement. And I think this team is prime and ready for the big showdown with Tampa Bay coming up in the NFC South. I think it's going to be a very, very good team when everything is said and done, and they're just getting more comfortable with each other. Justin, your thoughts?
What showdown? Are we talking about the team that just barely won with a field goal from Young K. Ho, whatever his name is?
Hell of a kick.
I mean,
they
that's
didn't
what
lose to Denver.
Hey, it won my fantasy league this week. Go ahead.
I hear you. But this is the same Kirk Cousins, and I told y'all Derek Carr was gonna come back down to reality. Both these characters threw for like 230 something yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. This is who they are. They are showing you who they did it. Pause to each other. They just on the same field. It was just mediocre quarterback play, and that's what we're talking about here, right? The running games couldn't get off. Like this was just trash.
The division has mediocre quarterback.
First and foremost, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go that route because we're not doing that. We will show. I will show you on Thursday. But with that being said, there is no showdown. It's just this team happens to play the Buccaneers on Thursday. That's what this is. It's nothing more, no less. I'm not expecting.
I want to hear that same energy.
I'm not expecting a loss. There's no trap here.
You want to lay something on it?
There's no trap here.
All
I'm saying is that the New Orleans came back down to reality. They are who I thought they were. The Falcons are barely winning games. They are who I think they was going to be. Nothing special. Is Bijan? Is he playing? I can't tell. Where's Kyle Pitts? Does he have anything? Is he on the team?
That was going to be my question. He ain't.
That's what I'm talking about here.
Kirk Cousins don't have no rapport with Kyle Pitts. I'm starting to blame Kyle Pitts at this point.
Exactly.
I'm starting to blame Kyle Pitts at this point. You got a quarterback and you're still not getting targets and still not getting catches. But
I done seen some Atlanta Falcons footage. It ain't Kyle. I'll say that. It might not be all Kirk. I'm not saying it's that. They haven't found that connection and they need to.
He hasn't found a connection with any quarterback though.
Hey, no. First and foremost, his first year he had over 1,000 yards. A lot of times, Desmond Ridder just overthrew him most of the dang on time.
What was that record that first year? He got every target. I hope he had 1,000 yards.
Oh, well, shit, it is what it is. He proved it. That's
but,
all I'm saying.
The run game this week with the Falcons, trash. The running game this week for the Saints. If you had Taysom Hill in your lineup, you were good. But you had a fumble recovery, you had interception recovery, and I think those are your two fields. Those are your two touchdowns. The offense was anemic. They did nothing. I expect more from this offense. I expect more from Bijan, who only has a handful. He didn't have 10 carries. Tyler Algier didn't have 10 carries. There's no reason if Bijan is healthy that he has the same amount of carries as Tyler Algier. It should easily be 4 or 5 to 1. Tyler Algier should not be touching the field except if it's to give Bijan a break. Why does Bijan only have 7 carries? Why? It makes no sense. This was a new regime, supposed to be a new offense, supposed to be getting your playmakers the ball. It's the same old story. Atlanta's frustrating, but they did get the win late. But the offense played anemic. The offense didn't get many help. This was a defensive ball game. They scored both touchdowns on defense. They were able to stop a late touchdown and a late field goal. Give the defense all the credit, but the offense has to be better.
Hey, a win is a win is a win. And sometimes division opponent, that New Orleans team, we was just talking about how good they looked just a few weeks ago. That's not a bad team. That's a good win. That's a good win in the division. And you had to come back at the end to get the job done. That last drive, my man Kurt was dealing. I don't care what nobody say. Winning time. Push the chips to the middle of the table. I'll take Cousin Kurt anytime. You like that? I love it. Let's move on. Next game, and we got something for you on Thursday night, pal. The Vikings got a big win over the Green Bay Packers. This was a complete beatdown, and the Packers made a hell of a rush to come back, made it competitive at the end. I really, really give Jordan Love all the credit in the world because they could have easily packed it in. Now, a lot of people say it's easier when you down by a lot to get a good push together. And, the defense is playing prevent, take the foot off the gas. We saw that a couple weeks ago, the Ravens in Dallas. But no, give them credit. Green Bay made it competitive at the end and had a chance to get the W. But this Vikings team is for real, man. I'm very, very hesitant to really put any stock into that quarterback. Look, Sam Darnold was not good with the Jets, okay? And he wasn't much better in Carolina. But with the coaching, the play action pass, Aaron Jones, which I said would be a valuable asset to them. That was a great pickup in the offseason. And then Justin Jefferson is still simply one of the best receivers in the league. It just is what it is. It doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. He makes things happen. That pass that he caught Sunday, where Lord, not many people can make catches like that. The man's phenomenal. Calvin, what's your thoughts on this ball game?
Look, I thought this game was a lot closer than actually appeared. They were up 20-0 at one point, and Green Bay came, I don't want to say roaring back, but they put together three back-to-back drives. I don't know. Do you think I don't know if Jordan Love was healthy? I feel like there was still plays that he couldn't make with his legs. Don't think he should have played yet.
Willis played a lot better in the backup role the last 2 weeks.
I agree. And if he's not 100% healthy, I don't put him back here, especially if he's my franchise quarterback. But no, Minnesota surprised me, and they continue to surprise me. Kirk Cousins, he does enough to win some games. Some games he just wins the ball game. And this was just one of those games where he just – I'm sorry, I say Kirk Cousins. Sam Darnold, he was 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 280-plus yards. He won that ball game in Green Bay.
To Justin Jefferson.
In Green Bay. And Justin Jefferson continues to amaze even when you know he's getting the ball, when you know he's the number one target. He still gets open, and this is why I just don't understand why other teams can't do this. Not going to say any team in particular. I think Jordan Love would be better. He threw the ball like 50-plus times, but that was a lot because they were down. But you still got to get Josh Jacobs his carries. He had a phenomenal first couple weeks of the season. You got to keep giving him the ball, keep that offense balanced. But they got down so early, it was hard to do. But even late, you can still get him touches in the screen game, quick pass, things like that. But I did expect more from Green Bay. I had them win this ball game. Minnesota continues to surprise me, so we'll see.
Yeah, Minnesota's they for real. Shout out to Brian Flores in the defense. I'm gonna let the score, like I said, like y'all said, it's good. The game was kind of out of hand, and then they kind of came roaring back, and then sometimes you can't put the cat back on the bottle once the water starts flowing. So with that being said, Jordan Love came in. Like I said, he might be still a little bit hurt. Malik Willis was playing better. He had 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He came in rocking that Favre jersey, and his play was real shaky. It's just
he gonna throw one to them and to you.
So it is what it is. It's just like you just said. We're gonna show some love to Jordan Addison. The fact that he came back, balling. This team, and then they got TJ coming in a couple weeks. Like he's coming. So pause. So it's looking very, very positive for the Minnesota Vikings. And Larry, you was right. You called Aaron Jones. I thought he was gonna hit the wall. I still think he's gonna hit the wall sometime. But it ain't right now, and he's paying dividends for them. So you could tell he really wanted this game. Just he was very spirited on the field. So shout out to Minnesota.
I think Green Bay really misses AJ Dillon more than they miss Aaron Jones. If they had Dillon to go along, that would be a hell of a 1-2 punch, man. One of them. Good God. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes when he comes. Well, I think he's done for the year. So.
I think he's done for the year.
Yeah. The Houston Texans pulled out a victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't have much to say about this game. The Jags, absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. They had it in the bag, and you let him go down and get a game-winning drive to pull out the victory. Yeah. This should have been a victory for the Jaguars. That defense should be ashamed of themselves. Trevor Lawrence did enough to give you – they had a lead, man. It was what more can you ask for? Like, you gotta win that game. I'm sorry, man. The coach should be ashamed of himself. The whole defense should. Man, I'd have made him walk home. You had the Texans beat. This is a division opponent, and you let him go. Man, just pathetic. Justin, your thoughts?
I think they're weathering the storm until Mixon comes back. Hopefully he removes himself from questionable and probable next week. Trevor Lawrence did just enough to lose. I don't know why this is shocking for you guys. It's not shocking for me. I don't know when the next time Trevor Lawrence is going to win the game. He plays uninspired.
They don't play Jacksonville. I mean, I'm sorry, they don't play Tampa Bay.
Well, that won't be the day that he wins. That was a nice slide though, but we just gonna keep on sliding right past that. It is what it is. Tank Bigsby was balling. They did establish some kind of running game. But Trevor Lawrence throwing for 170 yards, 180 yards. That just wasn't enough. You got to do a little bit more in the second half. You got to put some teams away. You just can't rely on we're going to coast to a victory when you're not that good. So they did not do that. They left the door open, and CJ kicked that joint down, and that's what CJ should do. Or else it was going to be a lot more questions on CJ coming into this week. So he saved himself a little bit. So shout out to the Texans on that one.
Yeah, that last drive, that's all on Jacksonville's defense. You got to hold them to a field goal at least. Take a chance in overtime. They let them walk down the field. I think the only third down they have was like 3rd and 3. So they faced no adversity on that drive, and they just allowed the Texas offense to do whatever they wanted to do. Good bounce back game for them after losing the previous week to Minnesota. And this is my number 1 seed, so they got to get back. The division games are always going to be tough, but you got to win these games. And like I said, when you're a pretty good to elite quarterback, you don't these type of games you win. You don't lose these type of games to inferior opponents. This is what Houston did. So, and even though I did have Jacksonville, I had Trevor Lawrence going over 200 yards in my parlay, and he straight up. Yeah. I figured they'd be down. Yeah,
that wasn't smart. All right, the Seahawks, the final game here. Very interesting game on Monday Night Football. The late
Seahawks
game.
Won?
Seahawks. I think I missed
you got
the
scores back. I was looking at it like I didn't remember.
Yeah, ignore that part. The Lions pulled out the victory. Defensively, neither one of these teams felt like this was an offensive shootout. That's what this was. Man, what a game for fans of offense. Because honestly, we need to talk about this. Offenses have been down this season. If you really look across the board, some of the best players have not shown up. Touchdowns as far as passing is down, passing yards is down, everything's down across the board. It's been a lot of rushing this season, which as a Ravens fan, I'm not mad at. But yeah, this game here, I mean, I know I heard a discussion earlier. Are the Lions the best offense in the league? And look, I told y'all I wasn't a believer in this team before the season, and they've stumped their toe once so far this year. But maybe that was the admiration.
Absolutely not.
You don't think they're that good?
No, it wasn't no admiration that they lost that game. And just you can go in with your intro. I just wanted to think about
it. But that all 3 levels, they offensively running. Jared Goff had a perfect game last night. Didn't miss one pass. Like, is that going to happen every day? But then you think back when he was in LA and that high-powered offense, that was before they got Matthew Stafford. That was Jared Goff out there when the Rams had that high-powered offense that went to the Super Bowl and lost to New England that year. So the guy has the ability. He just looks so awkward doing it sometimes that you just can't. It's Jared Goff. Like, anyway, but good win for the Lions. Ignore the graphic. Justin. No, Calvin this time. What was your thoughts on this matchup on Monday Night Football?
Like you said, this was a ton of offense, this matchup. Fast pace, up and down the field. Jameson Williams with the big play after the Seattle score. I don't know if y'all had a chance to see the picture with DK and Calvin Johnson just standing side by side. DK's a pretty tall man. I didn't realize Calvin Johnson was that much bigger than DK.
6'5", 6'6".
Yeah. It just put into perspective what Calvin Johnson, I'll just dominate. He was on physical on the football field. But going back to the game, look, I like I said, I'm high on Detroit. Jared Goff had a pretty good game. The touchdown pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams with the big play, the two-headed monster with Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery. But likewise, Geno had a good game as well. I can't knock Geno. Throwing for almost 400 yards. They kind of got away from the run late, and then they had the turnovers early. But DK with the monster game, look, it was almost, you want to say who had the ball last, but Detroit was able to score on a couple possessions back to back. And
the difference in the game, let's be honest, was that bullcrap call they called when they said that Tyler Lockett offensive pass interfered, when literally he was running out for a pass. That happens on every play. They said, oh, he was blocking. He wasn't blocking. He went out for the play, and the guy attracted him. Go ahead.
I mean, they were like I said, they were alternating points all throughout the game. Just Detroit scored the first two. But yeah, a good win for Detroit, especially at home in primetime, and the way to bounce back from that earlier defeat, which shouldn't have happened to Tampa Bay, but things happen.
Justin.
Sometimes in games you just gotta understand that we can't turn the ball over today. Jared Goff understood that assignment, and he played it very well. Almost perfect. He even caught a touchdown. That's when you know that you're rolling. And unfortunately, Seattle made mistakes. DK with the fumble early on. So when you're going to be in situations, your defense just won't have it. They just won't bring it. It is what it is. And early how how it's going to go down. So you got to be able to be in a position to say, hey man, hey, it's on us today, fellas. That kind of a thing. And unfortunately, Seattle came up a little short. I'm not taking anything away from Kenneth Walker. And Kenneth Walker was beasting once again, another 3-touchdown game. So shout out to Kenneth on that. But at the end of the day, yeah, man, sometimes you're going to be in barn burners and all those other things that you want to call them, and you can't make mistakes. Detroit didn't make any mistakes.
Pretty much. All right, let's get into the rest of this docket for this weekend. Any games, pick one that you're most looking forward to this Sunday, because look, there's some good ones out there. The bye weeks go into effect, so everyone's not playing this Sunday. 4 teams are off. But who do you think? Which game are you most intrigued by? Let's start with you, Calvin.
For me, it's probably the Jets of Minnesota. I'm looking for Aaron Rodgers and the team got to bounce back. We got to see what happens. They go 2 minutes. This is the first game in London, I believe.
It's in London.
It's the first game in London as well. So it's not even a home game for Minnesota. It's a game overseas. But if you're a good team, if you want to be a good team, you have to beat other good teams. And this is what New York will have to do to beat Minnesota. And especially coming off a week where you lose to Denver at home, you got to have a good week of practice. You got to put it together, and you got to lead this team to a victory if you have aspirations of winning the division, going far into the playoffs. And that's what the Jets, I believe, have. That's what I think they want to do. So I think that's the game I'll watch outside of the Ravens game, of course. But I think that's the game I'm most intrigued to see.
Justin, I think we all know you're most intrigued by Tampa and Atlanta on Thursday night.
Actually, I'm not, by the way. I'm really not.
You're not intrigued by that game?
No, it's a dub. I'm not.
Yeah. So what's your game then?
With that being said, I like the NFC and the AFC. I like Washington and JD5 going against Massage Watson. And I'm highly anticipating JD5 to have another performance against a Myles Garrett and crew. But really, it's the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my checkpoint right there.
I need Dallas to get the job done. Damn it!
I do not want to see Dallas get the job done. I'd rather see Justin Fields put on another performance to see where they really at when it comes to how he is on the season. So that's really the game that I'm looking at, and it's definitely going to be on regular TV, which is what I'm actually excited about as well. So I get to see that whole entire game. So shout out to Justin Fields. I'm really looking to see how he does.
Yeah, that's the Sunday night game on Sunday.
Sunday night game.
It is Sunday night, yeah.
All right, better. Even better.
I'm looking forward to that one. But I'm also intrigued by this New Orleans and Kansas City game because I want to see what are the Chiefs going to look like now. What are they going to look like? I know they plug and play a lot. But New Orleans, it's a tough team too. So I would like to see, even though they coming off of a hard loss against the Falcons last week, that'll be interesting. Buffalo and Houston. I want to see what Josh Allen does to bounce back against CJ Stroud. That's a big matchup, man. That's a big matchup, and we'll see if the Bills are able to get back on the winning track and slow down that Houston offense. The Stephon Diggs going against his old team. So that's going to be a storyline after what Josh Allen said a couple weeks ago, where you got a bunch of guys who just want to catch the ball. You know what I mean? Ain't looking out. That's going to be fun. So, a lot of interesting games. But before we get out of here, we got to touch on two more subjects. And be sure, if you are still sticking around, share the live. Let everybody know that we're still on here after 11 o'clock tonight. We ain't clocking out early. Very, very thing that we touched on it last week, and that's the WNBA playoffs. And thus far, we saw that Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever were eliminated. So we're down to the Final Four. A'ja Wilson and Las Vegas Aces, they are still, defending champion, two-time defending champion, still alive, going against the New York Liberty.
They're down 2-0.
What's up?
They are facing elimination. That's what they're
down
doing.
2-0. Yeah, they going back to Vegas facing elimination.
Can they dig out of it? That was the question.
I don't have them winning 3 straight against the Liberty. I had them winning this series, but I don't think they're going to win 3 straight against the Liberty at this point. They seem to have that number this year, so I think the Liberty are going back to the WNBA finals.
What's your thoughts, Justin?
Well, A'ja needs a little bit more bam in her play. She's a little bit more lackadaisical. She needs to step it up a few notches. She needs to be able to outdo Breanna Stewart full and fold. So until she's able to do that and have her team follow her, then it just won't work out, and they will probably lose in. I got them winning the first game in Las Vegas, but they'll probably lose the second game. New York better not go back to New York. I say that.
I agree with that.
Then it will be 3 straight for the Vegas, for the Aces. I'll say that as well.
All right. What about Minnesota and Connecticut? Any thoughts,
Calvin?
So I like Connecticut's matchup. They defensive wise, they've been playing the best defense I think of anyone in the league. But right now are they up? Yeah, they're up 1-0 on the Lynx. So I think Connecticut wins this matchup, and I think they go back to the finals for the first time in, I think, 2 or 3 years. But yeah, I got Connecticut this matchup.
I also have Connecticut, but I think the fix is in. The fix should have been in, I should say. They should have did some things in order to move Caitlin Clark up and let her play further into the playoffs, because ain't nobody watching it no more. The viewings and the ratings they done tanked since Caitlin got eliminated. They should have finagled the system. She played better in game 2. Don't do that.
Game 1, she was horrible.
But game 2, she showed who she was. It just wasn't enough. But no, it's UConn. Connecticut. I say UConn. And I have them going. They should be playing the Liberty. So we'll see where they are after that.
Yeah, be interesting to keep our eye on that. But yeah, some adversity for A'ja Wilson. Let's see if she's able to dig herself out. You know what I mean? But highly decorated. But maybe they ran into the best team this time. All right, then we talk about this before we get out of here. And I hope you all got a chance to check it out. As we know, here on Get Off the Damn Fence, we try to talk about everything. And wrestling is one of the things that we know pretty well. First of all, have you both seen the entire documentary, all 6 episodes?
I'm still a couple episodes short.
Okay, Justin?
I understood the assignment. I've seen all of them.
So those who don't know, I am a long time, big time wrestling fan. And
so when did you start? Let's say that.
From the
like
time
your first major superstar.
I thought you started watching this.
No.
Me and wrestling go back.
It helps with the timeline with the
my father was one of 14 children, and as youth, they would go to the Civic Center and watch Bruno and Pedro and all those greats. So when I was born, basically from when I could talk, I was going to wrestling matches. I mean, when I could walk, we were
So
always going.
That's Hogan then.
Oh, definitely Hogan. Yeah, you know. So
what about you, Calvin?
Would probably say it's got to be early 90s. My earliest, I think my earliest recollection of, I want to say late NWA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Probably my earliest recollection.
Okay. So a little flair there.
Yeah.
Okay. So mine was 94-ish, not 93, 94. So for me, it was Bret.
We know.
Bret was the first superstar for me. So I just wanted to get y'all. So when you're watching it, you can kind of pick up and then tie in. We already know the stories behind it.
Yeah.
It was just the McMahon side of the same story.
Were you surprised by that though? That it was the McMahon side and not everyone else's perspective of him?
No,
I felt like the initial trailer was kind of, you would get more in depth. You will learn more than you already knew. I kind of felt like.
And I had the same criticism in a way. When you see, I know the whole story, you know what I mean? And I've read, all the inside stuff. So I know the background stuff. They could have done so much more.
I agree with that.
Documentary. I'm actually disappointed in the doc. I thought once the allegations came out and the lawsuit dropped, they should have put this whole documentary on hold. I don't think this documentary needed to come out right now. I think they should have waited until everything, the trial, all of that was finished up. Then re-interview some of these people. Get some follow-ups. Tell the whole story. Right now, unless you're going to do a part 2.
They definitely doing a part 2.
They crammed all this stuff into like the last 30 minutes of episode 6. And this is the stuff that's going to destroy his legacy. Or his legacy. If you didn't already know this stuff, I knew all this. Like, the only thing that was new for this documentary since 2024 was the whole Janelle Grant lawsuit when it went public. But as far as the allegations against the sexual harassment things, disabled stuff, the stuff from Rita Chatterton from back in the early 90s, like stuff about Vince has been out forever. Like, this is not new. They didn't even cover him covering up the death of Jimmy Snuka's wife, him paying off the local police station. Like,
they talked about it, but they didn't.
They never addressed it. Yeah. That's my point. They could have went. Vince has done so many dirty, grimy things. They didn't even dig into the whole thing about the fact that the steroid trial, he didn't beat the government. The original trial was against David Sahorian, who was the doctor who was appointed by the Pennsylvania Athletic Commission. Mm-hmm. The only reason why Vince escaped the trial the second time when they actually went after him is because WWF didn't hire Zahorian to be their official doctor. Well, you know why they didn't hire him? Linda McMahon got tipped off by somebody at the state's attorney board who said, hey, don't hire him because if he's an employee of the company and they're coming after him, she knew the indictment was coming, tipped them off. They didn't hire Zahorian. You saw the footage. They showed it. They used him all the time. But because he was an official doctor for the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, the WWF couldn't be held liable for what he did. They were drug pushers, man. Legit. Like I just wish they waited until Vince. I hate to say it like this, but this one of them documents you got to do after the person dead. I'm going to be real with you. You got to. Go ahead.
But I guess my thought is one thing I didn't think of until late was I don't think this would come from Netflix because they are now in bed with the WWE. Well, so it's going to come. It's going to have to come from. Yeah, that's
when this documentary started. They weren't in bed.
They weren't correct.
Vince tried to buy the documentary.
Correct.
Yeah. Vince tried to die it so he could kill it. He went to Ari Emanuel, who is the head of TKO UFC. Mm-hmm. He went to Ari Emanuel, who he's tight with. Ari Emanuel went to Netflix to try to buy the documentary. In the course of that conversation, that's when the whole deal to get the Raw on Netflix came up. Nobody's even discussing that part. This didn't just pop out of nowhere. They thought, if we get in bed with them, they'll take a light bulb stance on it. Hell no. They still put all that stuff in the documentary. That's why Vince put out the press release talking about it as a hit piece. Yeah, he thought, oh, they're going to Kid Glove me. And they showed him a little, I think he watched, they said, the first 4 episodes. He was pissed off. If he'd have saw episode 6, he'd have really been mad. Because when they showed them text messages, I'm like, oh, okay. They went for it. Justin, what was your thoughts?
All that's true. I just wish I wish they talked about his mother a little bit more. I wish they went into his childhood just a little bit more, because you just want to set up what creates a monster in a sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of monsters, I'm watching that Menendez brother stuff. That's crazy. Yeah. But what did they do after the initial stuff? They went into how the monster was created in a sense, right?
And he was abused.
Oh, most definitely. So Vince definitely had some issues, and if they would have spent more time on that on episode 1 than the payoff with Shane at the episode 5 or whatever like that, that would have been even more poetic in a sense, right? They try to make that hug scene like impactful. It wasn't impactful because I don't know too much about Vince like that. Mm-hmm. So if I would have knew more about Vince, and then now I'm seeing him kind of open up himself to Shane, then that would have been like, yo, dang, like that was crazy. That was a good moment. That makes him more of a sympathetic figure. So now when you have episode 6 with all the current allegations, then it juxtaposes that. Now you have a film. Now you have something that people want to see. So I think they could have did a much better job of each episode and how it flowed through.
I thought it was just foolish the way I get it. The producers did a great job. If you didn't see Dave Meltzer, who's one of the talking heads on he's the best wrestling journalist in the world. I have a great relationship with him, and I do a lot for their website, and I do some stuff on their message board. And one of my good friends, Garrett Gonzalez, he runs the Fight Game, and I do a lot of stuff for them as well. But him and Dave are best friends. So I was in communication with him after watching the episode 6. And I was listening to his comments, and I know him and Vince they know each other. So he's going to look at it a little bit differently. And he had a difficult time watching himself on screen because he was probably one of the people who went the hardest on Vince because everybody else going to go soft. And even the Rock added nothing to this piece because he's going to, Kid Glove it. Hogan, they got more Hogan than anything on this show. And Hogan's the ultimate liar. You know that.
No. Him and Brett was right.
Brett's going to go hard. You know what I mean? Brett hates Vince before. But Hogan, I was stunned that Hogan admitted what we were told for years was the truth. He always denied it, that he's the one who stooged out the union. When Jesse Ventura was trying to get the boys together, the boycott WrestleMania 2, and Jesse went and told Vince what happened. He cornered the people, and they backed down from it. And Jesse always said Hogan one who did it. And then Hogan admitted on this documentary, finally, after lying, denying it all these years. Yeah,
my man ran and pointed like, yo, he did it. He did it, Vince.
And that's why a lot of wrestlers have hated Hulk Hogan for years. He ain't for the boys. And we always knew that. I mean,
because when they went through the conditions that they had to do, the amount of days they was wrestling and all this other things, like, what is that going to do to your body? So in order for you to not get hurt or to get hurt and not feel it, what are you supposed to do? If this is your livelihood, of course and then you got the drug guy right there. Yeah. Well, all right, bet. Let me go in and take that.
He was getting everything. And Tony Atlas, man. Jesus. I said, what of all the wrestlers, y'all get Tony Atlas? And I've heard Tony Atlas on numerous different documentaries, so I knew that's why they got him. They wanted the black guy who was just going to tell it like it is. You know what I mean? And Tony lived up to his name, boy. Your boy Tony said Pat Patterson grabbed him by the junk. I'm like, man.
Pecker, sir. Pecker.
God, man. Tony just be like, I mean, he's the booker. What I'm supposed to do?
Right there, that man pool party.
Not let him grab you by the junk. Like, yo, Tony, he gonna always put some mustard on it. So, backstory on that, Bruce Pritchard, who episode 6 said it's a hit piece. Remember, he went off, and then they said 3 days later, the allegations came down, and Vince quit. Him and Pat Patterson were like this. So I'm friendly with Bruce Pritchard. So I
heard you was real friendly with Pat Patterson too.
Yeah. No. So I was talking to Bruce, and Bruce said his comments were taken out of context. He was pissed off at them allowing the comments from Tony Atlas to make air without it being checked, without it being, it made it seem like the allegations was like trying to tarnish Pat's memory, and Pat not here to defend himself. But I'm like, but if Pat was doing that stuff, he had every right to give his point of view. But I do think it should have been something where the other side was allowed to defend themselves. And a lot of the allegations, look, Trish Stratus, I don't know, dog. Man, what you thought about Trish, Justin? Talking about she ain't mind barking like a dog.
Like, I believe whatever Vince wanted, she was going to do.
Yeah,
I believe she brought in from what she was doing. She was probably like a fitness person. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you're not like extremely beautiful and extremely fit, then you're not gonna make the money, not too much money in the world. So she had her way, and whatever Vince wanted, she probably said at the end of the day, man, I'd have done worse for less. Yeah. So you know, it is what it is.
And they even touched on the whole Sable thing. Did you see that?
They touched on it, and then they
didn't go deep.
Rolling.
They didn't go deep. They didn't go. Yeah.
Think about this, and I always tell people this. Don't you find it ironic? Sable quit the company, then sued Vince McMahon in the company. The suit went away. Sable comes back. They use it in storyline. Who does Sable end up with? Who's Sable married to right now?
Her last name is Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. The same guy who's accused of being somebody Vince trying to sell his little girlfriend to, like rent her out. Like, if you sign your contract, you can have your way with this girl. So I'm like, apparently the long secret is Vince and Sable was in a relationship too, and Brock stole him from him. And Vince like respected that, like, oh, if he could take my girl, you know, he my friend for life or something. Like, Vince got a sadistic mind, man. He's just weird. You know what I mean? But I'm like, they got some type of deal. Like, as long as you
because if you notice, like they pulled Brock from everything, and then if you check the roster, he's back on the roster.
Yeah, they slowly getting him back. You know,
so he's been back for a little while. Yeah,
I don't know. This documentary might make them, because he's named in the lawsuit. It was redacted at first, but he's named because did y'all see them text messages?
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah. There's a lot of feces going around.
To say the least.
But you know what? Once you get paid a certain amount of money, and I'm realizing this with the Diddy situation as well, and some of these Dubai dudes overseas and all this other stuff. Like, the normal stuff just don't do it for them type of dudes.
Yeah.
So they got to go through a whole different way. And that envelope was pushed. That envelope is brown now. That's how much it's been pushed. So with that being said, I kept this on PG, by the way. With that being said, that's just what it is. But on a side note, shout out to Linda. Linda looks younger than what she did when she was actually in the limelight. So whoever her plastic surgery is, y'all need to go see her. And whoever did Vince, you stay away from.
Can you imagine being Linda McMahon? Like, you've been embarrassed. You've been like cheated on. Maybe they just got a hell of an arrangement where he's just like, man, we ain't been together in years. Do your thing, dog. Bruh.
It's all about the money, man.
This got girlfriends.
They weren't together.
Talent.
They weren't together.
But yeah, he's a horrible guy, man. But look, I thought this focused a little bit too much on stuff we already know. You know what I mean?
Agree.
I wanted them to talk about the inner works of how he came up with his creative decision. They kind of touched on like, when he needed his guy. Maybe he said he was choosing between Dusty Rhodes, and then he went with Hulk Hogan. The man wanted the new Billy Graham. That's all he wanted. He ran with Hulk. Hulk saw again Hogan. He saw again. Oh, they skipped over Randy Savage completely. You noticed that, didn't you? You know the rumor about Randy Savage and Stephanie. He ain't want to touch none of that.
Yeah.
Go in with 2 feet on that one, buddy.
Because
come on, man.
It was definitely Macho Man had his moment, and they just
they skipped over the whole Macho Man era and went with the Warrior. That's crazy to me. Like, that's crazy. They ain't touch on the Mega Power storyline, which was the most successful storyline in the history of the WWF. Like, come on, man. You can't do that. You spent all this time on Andre, and then you skipped the Mega Powers? I was pissed.
My God. And then all that Andre stuff, like the man ain't look, everybody knew, even if he was in the inner workings, that Hogan was going to win that match.
Yeah, he tried to sell it like, I didn't know.
I had no idea. And then he just told me to slam him out of nowhere. I just did it.
Yeah. He's definitely trying to sell that story.
Y'all saw footage of y'all fighting for years. Like, y'all showed that footage. And you were slamming him a lot of times. Like,
and then they didn't even tell the Montreal story correctly, which threw me because I know they got Dave right there. Like, the Montreal was not explained correctly because Bret did agree to lose the title. He just said he wouldn't do it at Survivor Series. He
agreed to it.
He said
lose in Springfield.
He's going to do it the next night. Yeah.
We can do it in Springfield. I'll lose to the Patriot and be done with it. But I'm not losing to Shawn, and I ain't losing to Canada.
Yeah.
So they had options. They decided, no, you're going to do it our way, or we're going to take it from you. They could have hammered that home, and that would have showed how vicious Vince is as a boss. They try to stooge it off on Triple H again. And I'm like,
no. I disagree. It was all Vince. They made it clear they showed it that way because they juxtaposed it to when he did it with the girl with the woman's title.
Yeah.
So Bret was like, I know he's going to do it. I just don't know how. Mm-hmm. And then it happened just like that. So I don't think they pawned it on Triple H. I think it was Vince. That's why he said I felt. That's why he said I felt some kind of way about it. So I went to his locker room with my hands down, and then he Vince, damn well that boy was going to knock you out.
Knock your ass out. Stop it.
Bret been telling the same story for over 30 years.
Watch Wrestling with Shadows. All you gotta do is watch it. It tell the whole story. But anyway, I didn't like that. Owen's death.
That was tough.
They covered that a little differently. I've heard the whole story.
That was the first time I actually saw still shots of.
I would agree. That was the first time.
That was the first time I ever seen still shots of actually what happened in the arena. Yeah. I've never seen video. I mean, it was
a house show.
25 years ago.
No, that was a pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view.
Over there.
Pay-per-view. Over there. It was 25 years ago. You didn't have cameras or phones with cameras. They weren't really prevalent. That was the first time I actually saw still shots from that night.
What do you feel as if when Vince said, hell, if it happened to me, I want the show to continue?
That's the mindset of Vince McMahon.
If you feel that way and it's your company, but that's how you feel like, hey, the show must go on.
Your mind is just so warped.
Then I'm not even whatever y'all feeling. I feel differently because I will want the show to go on. So I didn't even blame him for that. Like, it's messed up.
I didn't know that the crowd didn't know, or they weren't giving an update even at the end of the event. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. The crowd. Remember, the lights were down. They were running a video package, so they didn't even see Owen fall. Like some people saw it, but it was like not like something your eye was trained to be seeing.
Right? Yeah, it was dark.
He was just there.
He did say if it was light, it was if the lights were on, then he would have called it.
Yeah.
But he said it was dark. Ain't nobody see it.
But I didn't know they weren't even giving an update like after the end of I didn't know that they just talked about the next event at the end of the pay-per-view. I thought they knew giving an update about him. I mean, I know he had passed by the end of
they updated the TV audience for sure, but I don't know if they told the live audience, probably to keep them in there. Even at the end, like even once the pay-per-view was over, like they didn't even tell them. Yeah, I'm sure news got out eventually, but I found it very interesting. One of the comments, and I'm going to read it here, and this gives you some insight into Vince McMahon's the way his brain, and to me it was the most interesting thing from the whole thing. And it was Vince said something to the nature of, that's what I want him to know. Like, I'm not going to tell the truth all the time. You know what I mean? You create a picture of what you believe the truth to be, and then that's what you want him to believe. I mean, it was a way it was a look into the mind of a con man. You know what I mean? Like, he been conning people so long. Wrestling is a con. That's what it is. You're trying to present something that's fake to be real, to convince people that you're supposed to believe it, especially back in the day when the business was more of a conny business. But the quote that he said was just so interesting that I was like, damn, you really got to be a warped mind to say that out loud with chest and really believe it. Like he was here. Hold on, as soon as I find it. But what was a part of the doc that you thought was interesting, Justin?
No, I like that part that you're talking about, that you're referencing. It's just like,
here you go. He says, some may think it may be hypocritical for me to say, I don't hurt someone else. I just do what's best for me. Yet when someone comes after me, I don't think they have the right. Sure, they have the right. Again, what I say a lot of the times is totally different than what I think. And the public doesn't understand that sometimes. As a businessman, you have to throw things out there. It's not really what you feel, but, you know, it controls the process. That's what you're supposed to do. Control it.
You know, I looked at this thing from, I really try to look at it from his point of view. And that's what made me interested in it. It wasn't, like you said, you know the stories and stuff like that. You know, Vince is a dirty dude. Like morality and everything like that. He is a dirty dude. 100%. But just take that away for a second. Just try to dive into that mindset of that type of individual. And his whole thing was, it's business over everything. I do not care what you try to bring a part of it. It is business, and I am about business. And every move that he does, even that quote that you just said, it is a business-related quote. You don't need to know the truth. You need to know what I tell you, so you can continue to believe in the product that I'm selling you. I said, oh, God.
I rewound it, and I transcribed it. I was like, I need to type this up. That was crazy, man. I'm like, he said it? Like, he legitimately, the producer did a hell of a job. Because I was like, you pulled that out of him? Because it was after they stumped him on something. Like, they asked him something. They're like, but you just said a minute ago. Oh, yeah. No, it was about competition. Remember, he was complaining about Ted Turner.
Ted Turner being the multi-millionaire, and he just did that to the territories.
He's like, well, ain't that what you did back in the day with the territories? No, I didn't do that to them. I mean, they had fair chance to. Well, don't you have fair chance to them? Well, see, you're not ready. See, of course I know that, right? But that's when he went into. I'm like, damn, motherfucker.
It was beautiful, yo.
Yo, you can't play victim when you like the same thing with AEW right now. You can't look. He territorial, man. In a wrestling war, ain't no rules. You know what I mean? That's how his mindset is. Man, it was interesting at some points. And the whole Shane thing. Paul Heyman is the biggest storyteller ever, man. When he told that story about take the knife and just stab it in me,
I bleed every second. Have you hooked, line, and sinker?
If you don't do it, I know you're not man enough to do that. Yeah.
I'm like, yo, what are you supposed to do if you're Shane? I can't stay here. I gotta go.
Shane come off like after watching this, like the biggest sympathetic figure ever. Like
he really won out this situation.
Stephanie didn't want him to hang it up.
I was going to say he came out like a bitch, but okay.
Man, he failed at everything. He was like, "Can you buy UFC for me? No. Can you buy this? No. Can you do? Damn it! Like it's like Vince said, hey, you want it that bad? You buy it yourself. I mean, you can't be mad at him for saying that. You can't be mad at him. Like, use your money. You like you want it, go buy it. And then y'all do know that was another thing they misrepresented. Shane got fired. He didn't quit. He didn't walk away. Vince fired his ass. Because he got stooged out. He was trying to pull a coup and take over the company, but he told the wrong thing. Somebody put a Hogan on him. He actually told Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman stooged on him. Like, that's what happened. And then next thing you know, Shane out of the company. And look where Paul Heyman at. Every week, right in the show. I'm good. Yeah. Still got a job. That motherfucker is the biggest snake. But he hell of a good creative mind for wrestling.
Yeah.
But anyway, overall,
nigga can read I'm sorry. He can read, the potato chip bag and make it interesting.
Make it sound good. He was a complete character this whole documentary. Everybody else trying to talk in that regular voice. Paul Heyman. Well, y'all gotta understand. I'm like, take that knife and put it in me. I'm like,
that was great, man.
It was phenomenal. Oh, man. Anyway, Steve Austin. What about Steve Austin with he don't believe in CTE?
Oh, he sounds so stupid. Like, yo, what the? Like I got you, Steve. Like I hear you, right? Like I hear you. But eventually, you got enough physical evidence that they done took. I was like, yo, that don't even sound right. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad.
We can do a whole show talking about this, Doc. Honestly, episode by episode. But it was a good little overview. Maybe we'll revisit it in the future. But like I say, they could have definitely waited a little bit and got more information. But they need a follow up. They definitely.
I don't think you get what you want,
so you can have a follow up.
No, I don't think you get what you want unless it's not on Netflix. I don't think Netflix goes down that road since they're in business with WWE now.
No, man, they about to do that Diddy doc with 50. I don't know. I think they.
But I mean, that's different though. I think that's different.
I think because Vince was willing to participate. Remember, this started in 2019. None of these allegations came to light. Hell, he hadn't even started dating Janelle Grant till 2020. So they started this documentary before COVID and didn't finish it until here recently. So I think now that you got this established, you have to come back with a part 2, and you're going to have more people. Now you might not have the affiliate. You're not going to have the affiliation with WWE to have all the good footage and stuff like that. It had to take more of a dark side of the ring angle where you get people who are more disgruntled with the company, and you might get more interesting quotes and things of that nature. So right now, all these people are on good terms.
Yeah, that's why I kind of expected like a dark side of the ring for 4 or 5 episodes, but
yeah, but you needed this though, because you needed that footage, you needed the access, and it was still good to have Vince on camera talking about this thing.
You don't see him on camera talking.
Yeah, no, he never talked about himself. He don't even appear at the Hall of Fame. Like Vince don't even he came out like for 1 or 2 people in history. He don't like this kind of stuff where they show him as the boss. If he on screen, he want to be a character, on-screen character. He was still a character. I don't care what nobody said. That man was working the whole time until they got him in a couple lies and he got stumped up. Anyway, but yeah, some of them quotes. I love when they showed that interview when he tried to attack Ahmed Kateo. Remember when he questioned him a little bit, like he knocked the paper out of his hand? Yo, they ain't even show when he went off on Bob Costas. Like that man's crazy. He's crazy. That's yeah. All right, guys. We went long tonight.
Shout out to Bob Costas.
We went long tonight, but this was a good one. We appreciate everybody who jumped in and out throughout the show. But this will be up on Facebook. Check us out late. Big week in the NFL coming up. And good luck to the Orioles, man. You better show up tomorrow. That's all I got to say.
Quick question. Georgia, Alabama. Just immediate thoughts.
Whew.
Okay.
What a comeback, dog.
Yeah.
What a comeback. What
a letter.
Came up short.
Yeah.
Came up short.
What
a pass. What a spin. After he caught it.
I don't remember a time where 17-year-olds were this dominant in college football.
True freshman. Jeez.
Randy was, he just wasn't available to be in the NFL.
Not 17.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Now I said because you got him and you got the kid from Ohio State. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, but that was 17. That was a big stage, man.
So,
early in the year, man. Wow. And Morgan homecoming this weekend. Good luck to that. Yeah. Everybody who go out there, have a good time. It won't be me, but y'all enjoy yourselves. All right. And we'll be back next week. Be sure to check out LNC Lock Show this Thursday. We're going to be dropping a new episode, hopefully with both members of L and C there this time. That's right. I'm going to keep taking shots because I had to go solo last week. But and we'll be back next Tuesday night right here. Get off the damn fence. For Justin, Calvin, I'm Larry. We'll talk to you. Thanks for tuning in.